Hello.
Good
All
morning.
right.
How are you today, Wolves?
Not too bad. So, yesterday, some pretty crazy shit happened in Montreal. It seems as if there were some fires lit and some mass demonstrations. Seeing as a lot of people are not fans of the curfew that's going on.
All I can
So,
think of when I see like the old port like pseudo on fire and everybody mad is thinking about like the riots are coming back, nature is healing.
nature is healing. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy in the sense that I think we're the only city that is like still aggressively curfewing, and
Yeah.
the time has shifted around a couple times. Um, and a lot of people are not very happy about all of this and have taken to the streets and have started breaking glass and burning things and little bit of unrest, I guess the word
Getting
is.
back into the swing of things.
I imagine a lot of those folks got fined.
Yeah, I mean I assume so. There's the I mean to Americans and otherwise that are not personally familiar with Montreal's history, Montreal loves civil disturbance
Mm-hmm.
and setting things on fire and
Mm-hmm.
glass smashing and having the cops chase you down for being at the location
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
disappearing you into a car for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, it is quite possible that some form of planned vaccinations would probably alleviate at least some of that energy if there was
a
an
little bit.
idea that people could start the process of getting inoculated against COVID. However, for anyone who doesn't know, Canada is doing fuck terrible, fuck terrible in terms of vaccination list priority because essentially my understanding from the reports is that America just said we're not giving anyone anything and what we were supposed to get, they just held it and said no. And then we're like, but you said that you would give us this many by this date. And then America said, go fuck yourselves. So we went, okay. So we sit here now with nothing. And
Yeah, there's
we
a lot.
expect
There's a
nothing
lot
for
more
months.
than that. There was the U.S. government was much better at just buying up entire stockpiles and going to said manufacturer and going, we want the next 5 million that you make, and then everybody got there and going, well, can we have some? And they're like, no, America
Yep.
got the first 5 million,
And we're
and on
right
top
here.
of that,
We're like,
yeah,
we're just toss some up. Just toss
no, that
right out the window.
listen,
I'm like literally I'm above
listen.
you. Just lean out your window and just toss it up and I'll catch it and then we'll be nope.
Hey, listen, I don't blame anyone from the US going, man, boy, do we need some vaccines with how the COVID's going down there.
It's not
On
understandable.
on top of that, we also made the mistake of buying all vaccines to be shipped to us pretty much.
Yeah.
There's vaccines being manufactured in Montreal, but all the other countries that are doing well bought up a bunch of factories and shit to actually produce it locally, and we're not. So that when shipments get bumped, we have none. We have none. They I forget which one it was. It might have been Pfizer. It was like, we're running a little behind on you guys, Canada, but we'll get you more in 2 months.
Yeah. So as
And
far
we're like,
as I can
give now,
tell,
please.
yeah. Well, so the only thing that we do really have is the AstraZeneca, which is only for people over 55. So
Yeah, well, a lot of countries wouldn't take it, and
yeah.
then we took it, and we're like, give it to the old people. What's the worst that could happen? And then it came out that the AstraZeneca is bad for you if you're under the age of 55 and a lady. has a blood clot issue for some reason in those groups for young women only, apparently.
So yeah,
now you can if you go to get the vaccine and they say, hey, you want AstraZeneca, you're allowed to go, no,
yeah.
I want the other one.
But the end of the story there is essentially that we have been Vaxcucked.
Yeah, didn't expect to hear that today. Okay.
Give me a second to
On
write
top
it
of
down.
that, on top of that, I was really excited because last week the Quebec government said, hey guys, the next batch of people is going to be anyone under 60 with a chronic health condition. Because all the old people have been vaccinated. It's going to be anybody under 60. And then they released a list of chronic illnesses that count that was absolutely gigantic and said, call your pharmacist. And then a couple days later, they said, no, wait, that list is wrong. Stop calling your pharmacist. Please stop calling your pharmacist. It is only this small group of conditions, and only if you are in the hospital with those conditions right now and don't have COVID.
Yeah, it's a little insane, actually.
So I went from being fucking stoked because I was going to be able to get an appointment on the 12th due to my lifelong chronic condition of being a fat man and also having breathing difficulties with sleep apnea, which are totally covered under the initial list they put out, only to be told that because I'm not in the hospital right now, I'm going to have to wait 2 phases at least.
So a friend of myself and Punch Mom basically was letting us know that, like, the fact that she was in cancer remission and not actively in the hospital for that meant that she also was not eligible.
Yeah, the groups are actually really, they can't possibly be that many people because it's right now it's like, do you have cancer and are in the hospital? And then the next group is, did you just get released from cancer in the hospital / are you taking remission drugs / did you just give an organ?
So basically, I mean, it's you know, overall it's a provincial thing where every province is handling things differently. And this one in particular is kind of going wild with, like, how stupid some of these policies are. And to be fair, they kind of quickly came back and went, okay, no, that is dumb, we're gonna fix that. And they started rolling out the plan to, like, bring it to people or whatever it was, and they started a whole thing where it's like, okay, we'll come to you if you can't make it and things like that. And the whole curfew thing rolling back and forward from 8 to 9:30 back to 8. When at the press conference, when they were like, hey, dude, what the fuck with the rolling around at the speed of sound here? And, like, he pretty much said, like, we are just going off of what the experts are telling us to do. So they said 9:30 is fine. We went, okay. And then there's, like, actually things are looking bad, we should go back a little bit more strict. And he said, okay. So he basically just said, yeah, we're just going with what they're telling us, you know. But all of these things cumulatively don't leave the utmost confidence.
The important thing, the really important thing as a Canadian and as a Quebecer, is that for the vast majority of the COVID situation, we've been able to do the good old-fashioned Canadian thing of, this sucks. Let's go on and look at American news to feel better. That's not working anymore. But luckily, we're in Quebec, and we can just turn our eyes slightly and go, holy shit, at least we don't live in Ontario right now. Because fucking goddamn it, they are getting wrecked.
Yeah, they're hitting. Well, basically, there's a wave echo that we can see where like I believe they get a wave a little bit ahead of us, and then we get like the wake of it. But this entire side of the country is not particularly doing well. But anyway, we'll see.
But Ontario opened back up, and then got hit by all the variants which are more contagious and are just like skyrocketing.
Right. Well, anyway,
the opposite problem we're having here in Quebec, where they keep hitting us with these fucking like horrible curfews, which are increasingly ridiculous, and all the businesses are going out of business because they're not even telling them, hey, cut your hours or it'll be shut down from this to this. They just go, numbers are getting bad again, and like shut it down with like a week notice. Like, there were fucking restaurants that are gonna die for sure because they were told to open back up, and then like 3 days later they were told to close back down after buying like who knows how much fucking stock.
So the other problem is that like what is spreading mostly is like what's going up a lot is like the variants, and a lot of that is because of schools as well. So
we should just ban children.
I mean, don't say it like it makes so little sense. I mean, God, it's kind of weird that we haven't just banned kids as a whole altogether yet. But I'm crossing my fingers. We'll see what happens. I would like to imagine that as soon as the legislation passes, like they literally just despawn from the server.
They just Marty McFly like fade away.
They just. Yeah, and then later on they'll pop back into existence. It'll be fine. It'll be like the blip, with no problems. Anyway,
have you watched any of Bucky and Winter Man?
No, I was planning to get around to it when there's a bunch of episodes to just binge in a row.
Okay, because there's 4 of the 10 now.
Yeah, I can wait a little longer on that.
It's not as good as WandaVision, but it's pretty good.
I get that vibe.
And it's this weird thing where it's like it was supposed to come out first, right? Mm-hmm. And you can tell because it's like normal, whereas WandaVision was fucking zany.
Yeah, I'm gonna just for the sake of keeping up with what's going on with the entire MCU and shit, I'm gonna jump in and see what's up when I can just again like binge it all together. But have you seen the trailer for Loki?
I have. I talked to you about it last week and you completely ignored me.
Well, now I've seen the trailer for Loki.
Yeah?
It looks incredible. It looks really good.
It looks way better.
It looks really, really good. I didn't see it then, but I saw it now. So yeah, fuck yeah.
Owen Wilson is an MCU character now. Fantastic.
All the colors of the rainbow are an MCU character. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think I know what that is.
They are like straight up. There's a shot of like the. Like just every different color shown off in the trailer, and it's a fucking rainbow of just amazing cinematography and sets, and like
no, that's not what it is. It's a rainbow of all the colors of the stones.
Oh, certainly.
Like that's gonna be the plot, I assume.
I was going to assume that they were different realities.
Yeah, because of the stones.
Oh, yeah, well, it could be realities caused by the stones, then? We can probably say both.
Because it's like, well, the green one, for example, is like the far future kind of thing. And it's like, I assume it's going to be, I mean, the whole thing is time shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
And you remember in Endgame, they had that huge speech of, if you bring the stone out of the timeline will split and break. Mm-hmm. Loki brings the stone out of the timeline.
So now we get Dr. Wen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting way to retcon characters from the Endgame movie, because like they're I can't think of anything else that does this, that takes a character and then just like removes movies from them. Like, hey, remember all that character growth? That didn't happen. That did not happen to this version of this character.
Because he gets pulled from when he's getting
from
arrested.
Avengers 1.
Yeah, he gets pulled from yeah, right.
It's like no personal growth at all.
Yes, true. Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a part of it, you know? I'm sure that's going to be acknowledged.
It really feels like, do you want to see Owen Wilson look at Tom Hiddlestoning and going, wow, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do.
So, in other words, we have more to say about that trailer than you do about the entirety of those 4 episodes.
Oh, I sure do.
That bodes
the
well.
The only thing I have to say about Winter Soldier that I love is Winter Soldier and Captain Falcon. That show does the best job of introducing a character that is like a normal or like decent or like good guy and making you go, oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this.
Okay.
I want to vomit on this person's face. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, it's hard to grasp what you mean without context, but okay.
It's the end of the first episode, so it's real early.
Okay.
But it's just like, oh, this sucks. I hate... It's this thing of you're watching it and you're going, wow, I hate this. I can't wait to watch more of this thing that I just can't stand.
Are you supposed to hate it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It is intentional,
Okay.
and you are meant to feel the urge to vomit.
Okay. So,
you will hate it. And then you'll be like, ooh, this is great.
Good. This week, since obviously I had a time off of recording, as Reggie needed a little bit of rest. I did take the time to attend to other projects, a lot of Guilty Gear writing, as you can imagine, and editing and such.
How's the lawsuit going against Intel?
Whoosh. Don't know.
Oh, you haven't filed yet? I assumed you would be filing a lawsuit against Intel's upcoming technology Bleep for copyright infringement.
Oh, wait, hey. Let's get to the docket. Okay. Full disclosure, I have no idea what Bleep is. But I just saw the name Bleep. So, but let's get to that later.
Okay.
Anyway, so not honestly, most of my week was obviously just spent working. Like, I have a lot of work going on. It's a lot. Stuff's intense. But I was able to do 2 things besides work that I think are worth talking about. Excuse me. One is there is a short documentary from 2008. It's called I Think We're Alone Now. And it is... Hi, are you familiar with the song?
No, I'm just... No, I saw the song once during an Evangelion music video in AMV Hell 2.
Okay, so...
that's all I got.
So the singer of that song is an artist named Tiffany. And Tiffany, I think you can possibly classify as, maybe a 1 or 2 hit wonder. Not super huge, but was a popular person during the 80s. And then faded out to obscurity not too long afterwards. This is basically a documentary following 2 people that are stalkers and putting just everything that you try to figure out about how someone like that works, just putting that all out on camera. And it is a fucking journey and a trip and I'll ride within 60 minutes. It's kind of nuts how far and how many places this thing goes to in in just an hour. Really
That sounds unpleasant.
Good. It's well, if you're a fan of cringe, there's a little bit of cringe for you to enjoy. But honestly, more than that, that's not the right word to use, because it's like, no, you're looking at like damaged people that are like operating in a way. It's so weird.
Stalking is a little more seriously awful than cringe.
I know. I would say so, yes. But the deal with them and like how they interpret their behavior and like how like normal presenting they try to be, and then like,
but it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's so fucking interesting, man. You know, like you're talking to this dude who's just like, he's like, yeah, I'm socially awkward and I kind of chuckle every now and then, and you know, yeah, it's just one of these things where we've been friends for a long time, and you know, and just kind of has this way of going about like talking about the friendship he has with the singer Tiffany. And you know, when he's like, yeah, and you know, in fact, like I remember one time after a concert, and like we got to see each other and it was so nice, and I gave her a hug, and you know, and she was so concerned that like all the security was there to like protect us, you know, and so she really just reached out to protect me. And then it's just like, here's the article and here's the person we're talking about how it's like, no, these were people trying to get you away from her. And
yeah, there's two types of stalking. There's and this is not an like this is my experience. This isn't like from a textbook or something I remember, but it appears to be that there are two types. One is I'm gonna find my ex-wife, right? That variation, it's fully grasped in reality, and it doesn't care. It's what I would call purely criminal. And then there's like disassociated from reality, right? Mm-hmm. We're friends. Mm-hmm. Oh, we've been dating forever. Mm-hmm. Oh, she really loves me. I can tell the way she looks at me through the television.
Mm-hmm. And so like I almost like there's so much that happens that like I'm not gonna like, there's things that are like technically spoilable in a way, so I'm not gonna spoil all the twists and turns, but like just to leave you with some of the flavors. I mean, again, you go and you see the guy, you hang out with the family, and then you hang out with the friends, and you're like, yeah, this dude, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, he's just a little, you know, he's a little socially awkward, and he's got some issues, but you know, all in all, he's just he's kind of just a lonely guy, you know. And he's like, yeah, I remember my last crush in like 1992, and I remember before that that I was interested in a girl in the 80s, and you know, I think that was the last time I you know, had people around. But you know, it's that's all right. We all grow from our situations. And anyways, like, so here's one of the newspapers where, you know, it's like, oh boy, they're using my whole name to describe, you know, what is just like a really harmless interaction in the end. And you know, it's like, yeah, you know, some people just, I guess they just don't understand, you know, a culture. And then the newspaper is like, wild stalker approaches Tiffany exiting a like some area or whatever with a bouquet of flowers and a sword, and security goes fucking ballistic.
Okay, now I know what you mean.
And then
cringe. And
then it cuts back to the guy just going, now you need to understand that offering someone 5 chrysanthemums and a katana is the highest sign of honor in Japan. And I wanted to offer her the highest form of honor. And well, I brought the chrysanthemums, but I didn't really get a chance to hand her the sword, you know. And then everyone just starts going crazy. And you're like, it's Yeah. And that's just like the first 20 minutes or so, you know.
That's
Um
that is cringe. You're right. I understand where you are coming from now.
yeah, so
Oh,
directed by Sean Donnelly. This is a just you can just look it up on YouTube. It's an hour of your time, and it's so fascinating because, you know, like you hear about how like a lot of these like podcasts like My Favorite Murder and Serial and stuff are like really popular because a lot of people they kind, you know, you want to dive into the true crime world and figure out
people
like,
love true crime, man.
yeah, you want to figure out like what the fuck, like what explains this, how did this happen, like how far away is this person from someone that I know, can I recognize these traits, am I you know, this is what it is. Like there's a lot of curiosity, and I forgot who, but I remember a comedian said like, oh no, like you got to understand, like for us ladies, we study this true crime stuff. It's a form of studying and doing homework, you know. And it's like, yeah, like there's a way of like a curiosity that you have for trying to see like, can I look at the traits in this person and go like, oh, I've seen that before. I've seen that.
Without a doubt.
You know, and in this particular case, I definitely can say I'm like, yep, that is like 5 people or 6 people I know that all have really oblivious, like, you know, social skills in some cases, and in other cases just like weird ways of, you know, invading your space or just being strange. And I'm like, if you took all of these traits from these couple of people and just mix and match them together, a bunch of whom you can imagine from the college days, right?
I have 2 people in mind.
Yeah.
That fit like 4 out of 5.
Right. And then you got to go like, okay, that's what it takes to, like, you know, to Powerpuff Girls brew this sort of like fucking person. And yeah, so it's a really interesting watch, and I can't believe some of the places it goes, you know, like jaw-dropping, fucking headphones off, pause it, walk around, headphones back on, play type shit. So I think we're alone now is what it's called.
It's kind of depressing to discuss because like one of the warning signs is the creation of a parasocial relationship, right, with said person, which obviously hits home for us in the social media business, who people have the parasocial relationships with y'all. So like it's one of those things like you gotta be aware of all the time to set the boundaries with the people, so that the people don't be like, oh yeah, we're buddies, they read my thing that one time, so they knew. And like, oh
yeah, and there's definitely people who do that thing where they go, hey, so you might know me because I worked a lot with other YouTube friends you have, and it's like, did you work with them, or
did that happen,
or did you send them a message one time about something that they responded to, and in the end you turned that into I worked with them, and now you're trying to use that as something. It's dishonest and weird, and you that has occurred many a times. So
the only time I ran into that was not from a stalking perspective, it was from a business scam perspective. And I think you remember, it was a time when somebody spoke to you. Was it you or was it Matt? It was one of us. And was like, hey, you guys are going to cover my thing, right? And they were told flatly, like, no.
Oh, yeah.
And then they ran into me. You're like, oh, so-and-so told me that you guys were going to cover my thing. And
yeah,
I went,
exactly.
I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true at all. Hold on. Let me send some texts out. Yeah, that's not true. You lying sack of shit.
No good. Yeah. Anyway, so the only other thing is just like So a lot of that is fucking just wild and nuts. But that at the same time, keep in mind here that I'm describing not, I don't know, insert super relevant mega pop star here. I'm describing someone named Tiffany, who at one point had those security guards in the way to help.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, there are no security guards anymore. And as you're just making an appearance at a random con somewhere, you're not going to be rolling 30 deep anymore. But this dude is still in there, still getting photos and still hanging out. And it's like, God damn, dude.
It's one of the worst parts. And you see it quite commonly with a lot of particularly women who stream on Twitch, where it's like all the fame of, say, a movie star, but definitely not the resources to isolate yourself of a movie star, right? So, like, John Hinckley can't get to Julia Roberts, period, right? There is a Hollywood wall of money and guards and hidden location between Hinckley and Julia Roberts. So what happens? Well, apparently Julia Roberts psychically tells him, "Oh, it was Jodie Foster. My mistake. My mistake. Jodie Foster." Apparently, Jodie psychically told Hinckley that she loved him and he had to kill Reagan. So Reagan gets shot. But for jackasses like you and me, I don't have a Hollywood wall in front of me.
No, not necessarily. And then it gets into stuff too where, like, where you're talking to, like, acquaintances and friends and people who know them, and, and them kind of trying, in some cases, to get the message across as best as they can, because, like, there's one friend that he had that, like, one of them has, for example, that, because they both have Asperger's. And so, like, they kind of, like, are talking about things
that no longer exists, by the way.
What does the DSM say about it now?
It's just been folded into somewhere on the autism spectrum.
Okay, I didn't know that. Interesting. I will have to look that up.
They looked at the symptoms for a while, and they were like, "This doesn't make sense as its own thing. This is clearly just like light autism."
Okay. So it's not like
diet autism.
So it's not like purgatory babies that cease to exist upon declaration.
No, they were reclassified.
Okay, folded in somewhere else. They drag and drop the folder somewhere else. Got it. Okay, I'll look that up after we're done here. But anyway, so two of they were talking about, like, that stuff, and, like, it seems that, like, part of that too just creates some blinders that make it so that his friend can't get the message across. And even if you do, it's, like, temporary at best. And then it just kind of resets once you go to sleep and wake up the next day.
So so both of the people involved in this documentary had Asperger's or mild autism diagnoses?
Yes. But one of them, I'm talking about them and their friend. And then the other one was diagnosed as well. Yeah.
I don't care for that portrayal. And obviously these are the people they went and found, right? But while having a mental disorder that is going to give you issues with social cues obviously doesn't help this kind of thing. Parasocial psychosis is by no means limited to people that have autism spectrum disorders, etc. In fact, a person may appear otherwise totally mentally healthy, I'm using big air quotes here, and still be crazy as balls. That's the technical term.
Yeah,
about stalking.
So what's particularly, like, weird about, like, Tiffany is that she has had a strangely abnormal amount of stalker attention compared to other pop stars of similar fame levels, It just seemed extra heavily concentrated for some reason. It's I don't know if there's any reason to explain the phenomenon there, but like, yeah, it's very strange. But anyway,
it could be anything. It could be that certain lyrics endear people more than others. It could be a particular public event made them very well liked by a certain mental profile.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking again late '80s era here, so there's no reason that, like, you know, any of the children around that are in earshot right now would have heard of this person, but it doesn't, from what I can tell, seem to be anything I can see in like her music or whatever that was like particularly.
People in the chat are putting forth the idea that Tiffany was more attainable and available than your average pop star because she did mall tours.
She did do mall tours. This is true. This is very true. Yeah.
Which would increase the likelihood of actually getting a single face-to-face meeting where maybe she smiled and signed something, which is like the nail through the coffin of the attachment.
You know what? That's a really strong point. That makes a lot of sense.
All right, no more conventions for me. No, all right.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we're alone now. Check it out. Good use of your hour, and you know, if you're like me, like it's just the most fascinating thing to dive in, you know, and see how the gears turn, because
I don't think I could watch it. The whole topic kind of makes me feel sick to my stomach and very anxious.
That's fair. I mean, there's different ways to approach these kinds of stories, and like, I find the one that like that again goes in and shows you examples of the gears turning or or failing to turn, I should say.
Or like the smoke coming out the ears.
Yes, I find those to be like the most interesting looks at some of these things.
There's a mini game in Yakuza 5 where during the idle sequences as Haruka, and they play it clean, but there is definitely the fucking mini game of you're doing the handshake and the meet and greet, and like there's literally a button to incoming psychopath, have security divert them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me after the Burusera mission in Zero, where like it's like, why is it bad to sell your panties? Only because it makes the crazies come out and try to stab you. That's why. There's nothing else.
That's a utilitarian, not a moralistic reason. That's very compelling.
In fact, we don't kink shame here. We'll defend kinks loudly as the Dragon of Dojima, but you do need to know that there will be crazies coming out with their knives, and that's why you got to stop it. You know.
Yeah.
Force of nature, really.
Those idle sections in 5 are like one of the best examples I could ever imagine of like making you feel an emotion or like a profession through gameplay, because like literally all of the mini games are like one song that you repeat like 180 times until you have it burnt in. And you're going to all these events, and they're all the same, and they're all boring and awful and creepy. And I'm like, oh, this is totally what it's like, isn't it? It's misery from 9 to 5 dealing with creepos, or practicing the same garbage over and over and over.
Yeah, so for the people in the back who didn't quite hear it because it went in one ear and out the other, Kiryu says no kink shaming. I kink shame hard and fast all the time, but Kiryu says no kink shaming.
He's a better man than you.
There's a humongous difference between the two. Anyways, so
I saw those Yakuza 7 clips.
So,
of you being a kink shamer. Ichiban doesn't kink shame either.
Yeah. Until we do.
Boo.
So anyway, the
you get a stat boost for not kink shaming, by the way.
Nice. So that's my first rec. And second thing is I jumped and onto the Apple Arcade and I downloaded Platinum Games World of Demons.
Oh yeah, how is it?
It's pretty all right, right? I booted it up and I started playing, and it's got the little touchpad and it's got the buttons and it's got the little slash and then the little dodge button and a couple of other little supplementals, and I was like, hey, that functions. That doesn't feel too bad, you know? I got through the first area, no problem with that, and the game's quite gorgeous, you know. Although I did notice that as it's a nice game and it's running on high, my phone got very, very hot.
Yeah.
It got very, very, very hot, and I was like, "Ooh, that's dangerously hot. That's very, very hot." But what I then did was I grabbed my Xbox controller and I synced it up to the Bluetooth, and then I jumped back into the game, and it was fucking incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, we're playing a fucking action game, and it's great.
Can we please get this onto at least Android so that you can play it on your PC with BlueStacks?
Yeah, I really...
At least, come on.
So we talked about it some time ago, where the Apple Arcade allows like controller support, and I gotta say, man, it's a game changer, at least for like how much I hate the activity of playing the video game. Like,
oh yeah,
I hate it significantly less when I've got a controller in my hand. So yeah, what you basically have is World of Demons is taking, honestly, the comparison to Okami's art style, it's like it goes harder and better in some places. Like,
well, it's been quite a while.
It's been quite a while, and they've found ways to like really juice it up. So there's two traditional art styles like sume-e and ukiyo-e, like woodblock painting style, and traditional like kind of like parchment look, you know, and it's all that sort of Okami looking thing, right? It's the ancient Japanese like looking style. But it's really cool how it like mixes the two together and creates like a functioning 3D version of it that has none of those. There's times in Okami where if the enemy or Ami, you look at them from just the wrong angle at the wrong second, and you see the ink somewhere where it's not supposed to be.
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's supposed to represent the imperfection of ukiyo-e art.
There's it's the little thing where it's like from some angles there's a little that ink is kind of it's clipping in a weird way.
It's on an edge, but you're looking at it edge on, so the edge isn't actually visible to you, so you just see the ink.
Exactly. So what they're doing is called inverse normals, where they'll take a black outline and have it displayed from like, it's almost like if you have a sphere and you can see the inside of the sphere but not the outside, you know. So they'll have it be all black and then create a larger shape around any given character and have it display as black. And it's great 90% of the time. Every once in a while you have a little thing, you know. This is fucking like flawless. It looks gorgeous. On high settings it runs really well and it feels good. And yeah, you just have you know, this character Onimaru, you're running around with your sword. You've got sword combo, and then you've got 5 or 4, I think, Bayo dodges into one big one, you know? And then if you perfect time it, if you witch time any attacks, you get a big dodge into sword attack. And then the basic loop of the game is like every time you kill a demon, you then collect it, and it becomes like an assist or a spell, you know.
Oh, a Pokemon
that you cast, exactly. But it's a single use, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if you have more than one, you can like pair them together to do like charged bigger, you know, spells. And there's 2 that you equip before the mission that are not single use that you can keep using.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they amount to elements, in a lot of cases. So you can get a kappa, or you get one of those like umbrellas that are like, the demon umbrellas, and you equip it, and you'll have those 2. They'll be on a cooldown, but you can keep using them as much as you want. And then if you pick one up during the fight, you kill a kappa and then you collect it. You can combine it with the one that you've put as your main cooldown, and then you'll get like a charged big water attack. It also has supers and sword unlocks and upgrading and all this stuff that you put into a little portable game, a little mobile game, and basic loop is just kind of like going in and fighting things in verses. Then you travel to the next section and then do another verse, and then you travel and then you go until you get to a boss, and it's pure. It's simple in that way. And it just ends up being some really cool single-serving fights,
I really wish that I would play it. That would be nice if I could play this video game.
BlueStacks?
BlueStacks is Android only.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I do, like I said, I do screen sharing for my thing, but well, anyway, it's good. It's cool. Playing it on the controller, they kind of just map like they know to map dodge to your R trigger, so like
if you're using a controller.
Yeah, if you're using a controller, you're swinging your sword with the face button.
What's it map to when you're playing with the phone?
Oh, when you're playing with the phone, it's like there's 2 buttons in the bottom right. One is sword, one is dodge.
Oh, okay.
And then the other thing that's cool is when you map to a controller, the second stick becomes a camera control stick. Whereas
that's appreciated.
Yeah, whereas when you're just using the your thumb on the left side of the screen, you're doing both camera and movement control at the same time. And it's like a double tap, I think, to like 180 the camera. So it ends up being, like I said, it ended up being quite functional and fine on the touchscreen. But the moment you plug the controller in, it's like, oh, this is just a new Platinum game.
When was World of Demons announced?
I want to say maybe like 10 months ago or something, maybe a year ago.
Okay.
I feel like,
because we're now at the part where today is day 1221 of there is no news about Bayonetta 3. So we have fully embraced games are being announced and released before any more news about Bayonetta 3 by Platinum.
Was Astral Chain released, announced and released within the window of Bayo 3's announcement?
Because maybe Astral Chain.
Is there any way?
I don't think so, but who knows? Announcement trailer.
Man.
There's no way that was actually February 13th, 2019.
No, that's stupid. Come on.
It might have been February 13th, 2019.
Oh, no. Oh, no. The entire Astral Chain life cycle existed in the post-Bayo 3 announcement world. Oh.
God, this...
Yeah.
I can imagine a scenario in which they announce a new game and the very first question in the first interview about the new game is, so what's the status of Bayonetta 3? And whoever they're interviewing getting really upset.
Yeah, that's I can see that being the case. Every studio needs to get access to one unannouncement. We need to give them one unannounced card, and it's like
they've tried.
If they play it, then everyone has to just go back to pretending it doesn't exist.
They have literally tried to unannounce Bayonetta 3. They've straight up said, like, pretend it's not coming out.
Yeah, well, Kamiya said it in an interview. He said, stop thinking about it. Yeah. And then it'll be nice when it does, you know? But
Hold on a second. I have another one.
Oh?
Where, September 24th, 2020, I believe. No, sorry, March 30th, 2020 was the announcement of Near Replicant version 1.22474487.139, and that's coming out in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, that's Square money, so I give it a little bit of leeway on that, but nonetheless, yeah, they just fucked up. They fucked up. It's just, you know, they botched it. Horribly early on that. So,
if I had to guess, I bet that the game we will receive will actually be Bayonetta 5.
By work terms.
Yeah, I mean, Kamiya has a long history of oopsie, just do it again with Resident Evil 2 and Devil May Cry.
Well, I'll say this. World of Demons is not a replacement for Bayonetta or Astral Chain or any other Platinum game. This is a much more reminiscent of the style and scale of, let's say, Transformers, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Now, I know...
Like that Transformers game.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I know that, like, of them, like, Transformers was probably the better one, then Korra, and then Ninja Turtles at the bottom. But, I'd say compare it to that. But in this particular case, like, you have a pretty, you know, fun, simple combat style that's working pretty well. Really pretty, gorgeous art and design. And then there's a pretty solid mechanic, too, where I haven't fully gotten to explore it yet, but there's like 4 playable characters I think you unlock. And there's like a hot swap system where you tag between them as well in the middle of fighting. So like you can literally swap characters and then mix and match and do some crazy shit. There's some really cool moments where you can call out yokai to do a big summon, and then they do like a large area attack, and while that's happening and staggering everything, you can jump into that area and start like comboing off of, you know, what they set up and shit like that. So yeah, like World of Demons, very, very cool. If you do have access to Apple Arcade, give it a shot and plug in a controller and fucking enjoy it. Otherwise, be wary of how hot your phone might get while you're holding it for like 5-10 minutes.
Be careful.
Like like fucking like real, like almost ow. Not ow, but almost ow.
That doesn't seem right to do with a phone.
I didn't touch Apple Arcade prior to that, so I don't know if it's something that happens for all their games or just this one, but like you can see that from the moment it boots up, it's like, oh, this is way more intense than like most little shit App Store games.
I only have one device currently that has a heat problem, and hilariously enough, it's my PS5, and it's not actually a problem with the internals, but I think the plastic was fit a little too tightly, so after I play PS5 for a couple hours and then turn it off, I can hear the plastic cooling down and making horrible cracking noises.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's harmless.
Yeah.
Worst thing that'll happen is I'll get a hairline in the plastic, but it's like, oh man, that thing's heating up, huh?
Yeah. My phone is super not old. This is an 11 from what? Like,
yeah, that's how it gets so strong and hot.
This is an 11 from like, barely over a year ago. When
sounds like it's falling apart. You bought to get a new iPhone.
Yeah, I've had this for less than 2 years, I think. So, anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's me. We will figure out the schedule and announce it on my Twitter, Wooly Wolves. Stay tuned to find out what's going on. But over on Woolly Versus, of course, like, we do intend to get around to the scheduled stuff, Disco Elysium and all that, once the chance arrives. If you haven't had a chance to, though, you can go check out, the best of Reggie versus Demon Souls is actually up and out. Really fun journey. Adios also came out this week, and the finale of Sekiro. So, yeah, tune in for some of that.
So you beat Sekiro, huh?
Sure did.
Tell me about the Sword Saint.
You mean the Glock Saint?
Yeah. It's literally the last thing I expected in that whole game.
Oh, you thought? Yeah. Just fucking pulls out the fucking Desert Ease on you, which, again, you can successfully block. But yeah, man, power of gun to the fullest. He embraces the old and the new. God bless.
That boss fight's incredible.
And I'm happy to report that, so the episode of the newcomers featuring Punch Mom getting into Persona 4 Ultimax for the first time is out. And that went really well. That went really, really well. Had a lot of fun. And a lot of people, I'm getting a lot of good feedback on that. A lot of folks that are like, a perfect way to, like, show people what it's like touching a fighting game for the first time, and, like, some good habits to develop. So yeah, go check that out over on Woolly Versus. You?
Hey, Wooly, you remember last week when I complained about FedEx?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who listen to this podcast work at FedEx.
Yeah. So it seems.
Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
It's way worse on the inside than it is on ours.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see a cool photo?
Sure.
I'm sending it to your Discord.
If I had to take a guess, I would imagine that, oh my god, that is endless chaos.
Yep. That's
wow.
bad, huh?
That's a really bad photo.
I was sent a photo of a FedEx shipping distributary with the phrase, "You didn't get this from me."
Holy fuck.
And so I will not be posting it publicly because I don't want even the slightest chance of the person who sent it to me getting in trouble.
Nightmare Mountain. Absolutely.
But it is literally as bad as you can expect. I also have a video of a guy walking into the back of a random truck and finding the driver's piss bottles.
You mean those nebulous treasures that don't exist?
Yeah, which are currently public relations associated with Amazon. But don't worry, FedEx has them too. I've been contacted by over 15 FedEx employees over the past 3 days as people caught up with the podcast on the weekend. And the one that really stuck with me is I used to work at Amazon, and even Amazon was better than this shit.
Yeah, so wow. I would go ahead and assume that every delivery service currently is going through the fucking shits right now. I would assume that life has become awful, but it is one thing that, every time we talk about a particular company falling to shit and then a week later just get a number of people that are like, yup, I'm there right now. Oh boy. You have no, that is one of the most satisfying things.
The Intelcom warehouse, the Montreal shipper?
No.
It looked like a crack house. I thought it was a crack house.
It's
that's how filthy it was.
Yeah. For all of you out there who do that, who write in to just be like, yo, this is what's going on for all these things, thank you for the look, because it's always so much worse than it seems on the outside. And on the outside, the cracks showing are it's falling apart. You see it falling apart from here, and then they're like, yeah, we've been dealing with this or that or whatever the case is, GameStop being the most notable one recently. Holy fuck.
I was also contacted by a couple people who described having altercations with the FedEx man in their building escalate and escalate and escalate just shy of police intervention because the FedEx man would walk through their entire complex maskless in an enclosed apartment complex, which means oh great, I can't leave my fucking door for 2 hours because they could have contaminated the hallways. Like, man. That being
Yeah.
said, I do have a little bit more of sympathy for the gentleman who was running away from my door last week, because if these guys are having to piss in bottles to hit their delivery times, they don't have time to even attempt to deliver my shit.
Still a dick move there, though. But
Yeah, I wish he would have just, I don't know, not bothered to knock. That's the thing that confused me the most. Is it was the sticker, a knock, and a run. If I went upstairs and just saw the sticker, I could have mentally gone like, oh, I guess I didn't hear him when I was doing the podcast. Right? But the knock felt like mockery.
maybe we can invent some sort of game of like, okay, well, if you can catch me, like tag, then you get your prize. Otherwise, it's gonzo. And like maybe, you know, but you don't want to actually get out there and do that. So maybe if you throw something. So if you throw something nearby and you actually touch them, then they go, all right, you got me. Here you go. And then they go on their way.
Their piss bottle back at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun for everyone. Or, you know, you can offer to collect those bottles and empty them.
I do appreciate the status that we're in, where we're of going, this sucks, and then having people going, you think that sucks? Just check this suck out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wow.
Yeah. So what's going on?
Moving on from this depression leads me to the idea of destroying the means of production, which moves me on to Disco Elysium, which I don't really have all that much to say about, other than it's incredible.
Did you say destroying the means of production?
So that was a mistake I made. So originally, a couple years ago, on a video that you weren't in, I screwed up and said destroy the means of production. And ever since, every time I think about it, it's the funniest variation possible. You're skipping so many steps.
That's very wow. I mean, I'm sure there is a philosophy there. That's probably close to Return to Monkey, if anything.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
But it feels appropriate because Disco's ability to have your character be a laughable hypocrite is amazing. Amazing. I'm currently playing as a hobo sorry cop who believes in violent big communism and free market ideals.
Nice. Good.
And
good.
I originally thought that might have been a problem, but the shoes that gave me methods of indirect taxation were quite clear in convincing me that free market idealism can be cross-idealized with any other political philosophy. Quite well, no problem.
I mean, if you are as barely functioning as Disco Elysium Cop would have you believe, then
Do you even know his name?
I forget.
But did you even ever learn it?
If I did, I forget.
Yeah, isn't that appropriate?
You know,
but yeah, no. That game's great.
I only did the start of it and then pulled out because of how good it was.
Yeah.
Didn't want
that game's
spill everywhere.
Super duper excellent. What else did I play this week? Played Fortnite on Friday with Get Jeane.
Yeah.
Voice actor man, pizza dude. Because he's Italian. That's the joke. Jeane, this is actually my first time ever talking to Jeane. It was a blast. He's really funny, and he tells a fantastic story.
I'm listening to Castle Super Beast, post nut wheelchair miracle, piss bottle dominance, or whatever the fuck that shit was.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
He also tells a great story in that stream about starting his amateur voice acting career and people telling him that he sounds just like Steve Bloom or like Spike Spiegel, but he had never seen Cowboy Bebop and didn't know who Steve Bloom was. Only to discover that he had accidentally co-invented the same type of voice.
Wow.
He's cool. Not very good at Fortnite though. Him and Susie dragging me down. Can't get wins in duos with these losers.
Damn. Literal shots being literally fired. My introduction to the Steve Bloom voice was Paul Dobson's. So to me, I don't call it the Steve Bloom voice because I wasn't. One, we're Canadian, so there was no Cowboy Bebop airing dubbed on our TV. I just watched it in Japanese when it came out before it was dubbed, and then for me it was Deep Voice Reboot Man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's my everyone else is Steve Bloom.
That's my everyone else's Steve Bloom.
Yes.
What does that mean?
You know what it means. You can piece it together.
I'm having trouble. But yeah, that's it for me. Nothing too crazy this week. Go ahead and check me out at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt over the coming week. A lot of Disco Elysium, more Fortnite, and tomorrow I am very excited to say that I will be streaming the finale of the Nier Raid series in 14. Part 3 is called The Tower's Paradigm. Sorry, the Tower of Paradigm? No, the Paradigm Tower, whatever. Another thing that has its entire life cycle inside the Bayonetta 3 announcement. The entire FF14 Nier Raid series. In there.
Hey, who's that character that looks like a Nier character that's not in Nier?
That's kind of vague.
There's
in 14?
No, there's some kid with white hair that's like running around. Maybe it's 14. I don't know. And even like Camille was like, "Is this a Nier character?" No, I guess it's not. And I was like, "There's some."
Well, you just asked me who is that character that looks like they're from Nier with no background detail?
Yeah, give me a second here.
Do you mean from a game from
people
14?
People will figure it out with context. I don't even know what the game is.
Do you mean Dante? What do you
No. He's wearing black and then he's got the thing and he doesn't have the headband, but there's the white hair. What was it? Let's see here. Alpha Node? No, it's not Alpha Node.
It's not Alpha Node.
No, it looks way more Nier than Alpha Node.
The D is silent, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Let's see here. Fantasian? Let's see. Fantasian. I don't even know a game.
Could you be...
Yes! Yeah, this kid. Fantasian. What game is this?
Who the
is the Final Fantasy creators Fantasian comes to Apple Arcade today. Look at this fucking thing. Here, let me send you a picture of this. And like Camilla was like, "Is this Nier? What is this?" And it's like, "No, it ain't."
You mean Camilla or do you mean Taro?
I mean Hideki Kamiya on
Why
his Twitter.
Was Camilla talking about?
Because he works at Platinum and they touched Nier.
Oh, this is so confusing.
Look at this thing.
Let's see.
Fantasian.
Oh wow, that's Nier.
Yeah. Like, I don't mean slightly Nier. I mean it's very much a Nier.
That's legally distinct.
And I didn't know what the game was that it was from, but some kid showed up and
that looks like if Nines and Tubi had a Robo baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally a fusion of 9S and 2B. Yeah. Yeah, well, anyway, whatever.
I am hopeful, but no. I hope the final boss of that Nier raid tomorrow is Yoko Taro.
like the president of Square.
Yes.
Like Wada.
I hope a big Emil head floats down and you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be Emil," and then it attaches to a normal looking torso with a little scarf on it.
His ground flail is unblockable instant kill damage. Don't touch him while he's flailing.
That would be great. And then he curses Square Enix and rolls around for AoEs and...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be great. But yeah, just go check out my crap this week at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. This is good stuff.
All right.
I mean, that's a lie, but I mean, I think it's good.
Serviceable is a fine word. Anyway.
Oh, before we move on, there's somebody who asked a question. Is there a channel that has videos on the lore of the raids? I ain't playing through an MMO to get that. Yeah, it's called youtube.com/PatStaresAt. There's a playlist up with all of the Nier raid stuff that will be complete in a few days. If you just want to see the Nier crap.
There you go. Quick word from our sponsors. Before we get into the news, this week the podcast is sponsored by Raycon. How do you feel about wires?
I don't want my dad to get decapitated by wires walking to work because he needed to have wired headphones because he's an idiot.
Now, we've often described the problem of wires and how awful they can be in our own lives. But
yes,
adding wires to the lives of your parents is an absolute recipe for disaster.
That's right. I learned this from Internet Historian, whose ads I am blatantly stealing the jokes from for these Raycon ads because their Raycon ad is way better than our Raycon ad.
Oh, that's fine.
Regardless.
I steal mine from Tim Dillon all the time. Don't worry about it.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, all good. The point is this, man.
Raycon good, wire bad.
Wire awful, and Raycon good. How good? Real good. Comfort in your ear. Super great sound. No more worrying about your charge time of your life because you're getting up to 6 hours of playtime, so you can just enjoy a life without hindrances of wires or any of that shit, and you're not paying premium wireless earbud prices.
Let me tell you guys a story. Once, when I was a younger man, I was hopping onto the Montreal subway system, and a gentleman with his baby in like a baby backpack was running to reach the metro. As he cleared the doors began to close, and the baby got caught on the outside of the metro, which led to me and several other gentlemen jumping up to try and pry the doors open and pull the emergency brake, because that's terrifying, right? Now imagine, instead of a baby, that was your headphones. You don't want that. That's why you want those wireless headphones. Can't get your baby headphones stuck in the door of the metro.
Best part about that story, you were listening to music at that time?
I was.
On a pair of Raycon headphones. There you go. Just like that.
Now,
that's the moral of the story.
That would include time travel?
That's the moral of the story.
Crazy.
That's how fucking sick it is. You know? In the end, baby saved. Good pair of headphones. Quality sound. All of it. Perfect. So, hey. Do you want to save a baby? Yeah. Then why don't you listen up to this. Raycon's offering 15% off all their products, and our listeners could go to buyraycon.com/superbeast, and you'll get 15% off your entire Raycon order, so you can grab a pair and a spare. That's 15% off, and I might need that spare because Punch Bomb has been stealing mine. So that's buyraycon.com/superbeast for 15% off your entire order. buyraycon.com/superbeast.
Thanks, Raycon.
Thanks.
Steals your headphones too, huh?
Can't even get them back when sleep happens because
we had a situation that was like a year of Why are my headphones synced to your iPhone, woman?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd sit down to use my headphones, and it would be like, Paige's iPhone. Like, really?
I've got a pretty good waterproof speaker that I got for it was a part of my Lucio outfit, my cosplay, but like it's really great, and I just use it in the shower because you can listen to things. And yeah, I remember when a couple times where it's like going to turn that on, and then suddenly it connects, and then hey, I'm not listening to My Favorite Murder. I'm not listening to whatever. What was it? Antique restoration videos.
Get the fuck out. Oh my god.
What's going on here? Why is that happen? Oh, wrong sync.
The whole context of this shower is now completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, desync your shit. This week, the podcast is also sponsored by Honey. And for those of you who don't know, it's real simple. When you go shopping, these days, you go shopping online because that's what you're fucking doing.
Screw going to the store.
Exactly. And before you click that checkout button, there's always that box. It's the FOMO box. That box is all about what you can't have. It's the promo code box. Some people have, done the thing where they go, man, fuck it. And then they open up a new Google tab and you start Googling to see if you can just maybe find a quick promo code or something. And it's like...
You get 12% off, whatever.
Maybe, but who knows? You're putting your hands in the whims of Alphabet LLC. And you're not going to get anything good going on that way. You don't even know if what you're finding is the best possible offer. Well, this is where Honey steps in, because it's a free shopping tool. And all it does is it finds all the best promo codes available and applies them to your cart right there for you before you check out. And that's it. Bam, free savings. So they've done it for over 17 million members, and that's over $2 billion in savings.
That's a lot of money.
That's a whole lot of money. And yeah, they are already available on over 30,000 stores online. Tech, gaming, fashion, food delivery, everything you're ordering online these days. Honey has got you covered with the deals. So if you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings, literally free, installs in a couple seconds, and after getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting the podcast. So, you can...
It's like Ben Jefferson said, a penny you don't spend online is a penny that you made. For you.
That's Ben Jefferson?
That's Ben Jefferson.
Quote.
That's a real quote.
Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/superbeast. That's joinhoney.com/superbeast. George Lincoln said, Honey's awesome.
God damn it! That's the second one I had in my head. Was George Lincoln.
He's a fan.
George Lincoln said that if you can save enough money on Honey, you can get real teeth instead of lamb's teeth, and that'll protect you from head bullets.
What if you're holding, like, an electrified key kite? Will that stop a bullet?
I mean, the problem with the key kites, it's usually in the air.
Yeah,
right?
But if it's acting like an auto defense key kite, that, like, as soon as someone sneaks up behind you and pulls the gun out, it automatically attacks your blind spots because you're covered, and they never even get a chance to say death to tyrants.
Really shouldn't have sent his kid out to test that. He should have tested that himself.
Is that a thing?
That's my favorite part of the lightning story.
Oh my
is
God.
that he sends his kid out.
Oh my
to
God.
do it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He didn't do it himself.
So why is it always depicted? Why is it always depicted? Really?
It's Franklin Jr. flying the fucking kite.
Oh, wow. Wow. Disposable A. Disposable A Franklin. Okay. All right. History. Anyway. Speaking of history.
Yeah? Totally real history?
For the longest time, humanity has thrived and we've gotten to where we are today based on our proximity to resources such as food.
True. Yeah, food's a secondary resource, but I get what you're saying.
And our ability to acquire food on a regular basis in a timely fashion is very important.
It's the basis of the agricultural revolution and, sedentary lifestyles and modern civilization.
So that's where Green Chef steps in.
Yeah, Green Chef's kind of a big deal. It's like the agricultural revolution all over again.
Except in your house, localized entirely in your kitchen. How so? Well, Green Chef is the way to get easy, affordable, and healthy foods straight to you, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, or just looking to eat a little bit healthier. There's a range of recipes to suit any diet and preference, and it's the first USDA certified organic meal kit company, so you're enjoying clean ingredients, pre-measured, perfectly portioned, mostly prepared, so you don't have to worry about the stress of acquiring your next resources. You don't have to hunt or gather. You can just
receive,
exactly.
That's the best form of farming. Receive.
Sitter receiver is in fact the newest form. And
now I know what some of you were thinking. Hey, Pat and Wooly, I'm a psychopath terrified of the color green. Do they have any foods that are not literally green? Oh, silly person. Green in this context means healthy. They have foods of all different shapes, colors, and sizes.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely go for the vegan vegetarian routes if you want. You can get that high plant protein, rich omega-3, high blood pressure decreasing, immune system boosting diet, but you can also go with other choices as well. The nature of if you happen to be doing keto, then you're doing a whole lot of meats too. So yeah, the availability of options is there. So it's also the most sustainable meal kit, offsetting 100% of its direct carbon emissions and plastic packaging in every box. Yeah, so you can feel great about what you're eating and how it got to your table. How about that? So
you could use all of that carbon offset to justify buying some Bitcoins. If you wanted.
Go to greenchef.com/90superbeast and use code 90superbeast to get $90 off, including free shipping. That's greenchef.com/90superbeast and use code 90superbeast to get $90 off, including free shipping. It's highly encouraged. That you guys go check it out. It's the #1 meal kit for eating well. Thanks, Green Chef.
Thanks, Green Chef.
All right.
I just saw a person ask a legitimate question. It's like, why are ads always like 15 minutes out of this podcast? And that's because I want to have fun with the read.
Yes.
Ads are more fun when you see how far you can possibly push the copy.
Correct. I would even go as far as to say that it's a value add if it's comedic to listen to and therefore fun, as opposed to just dry and not fun. So
some of my favorite moments on this podcast are me completely botching the read and you having to save it.
Or then the sponsor never returning ever again.
Happens.
Happens.
Whatever, man. There's plenty of fish out in the ocean.
Plenty of titans out in humans. Yes.
Oh, they were never gonna come back. They were doing a blitz campaign.
But what if you're wrong? But what if?
Oh man,
you know,
you guys want a little bit of an ad behind the scenes? I have a really good piece of advice for you. If there's a game or a TV show that you've never heard of, but now you don't stop hearing about it at all everywhere you go for the 1 week before it comes out, they hit a point where they realize we need to advertise this so bad.
Yeah,
guys,
probably.
Guys, we need marketing. Oh shit.
You know. But anyway, and yeah, that's the reason why. I think that makes sense, and I appreciate that, and I approve that message. And otherwise, you know, fucking,
I love our ad sponsors.
Yeah, doing it dry sucks. You know, if anyone absolutely requires it dry,
that's just true every time.
If anyone absolutely requires it dry, I'm much more likely to say no.
You're completely right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here, do this fucking read for Kratom.
Good old Kratom.
just hey man, how about some drugs? Did you know drugs? Podcast says drugs though.
There's like 4 emails in my business email right now that are like, would you like to advertise medical marijuana shipments on your stream? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure that I'm not allowed to do that.
Well, I mean, as long as as long as you were talking to Americans about getting American things, but you just happen to be sitting here.
I don't know.
Anyway.
No, because it's against the Canadian advertising laws. You can't advertise. Do you remember those smoking ads?
I do.
Oh, man, I couldn't believe it. We got a batch of advertise these fucking cigarettes. And we were like, we will go to jail if we run these ads, guys.
Where do podcast and Twitch streams fall in terms of Canadian broadcast considerations? That's a discussion in and of itself.
I don't want to be the test case.
Certainly not. But once upon a time, uploading an MP3 to a website was certainly not going to be considered by the Canadian government to be the same as airing on CBC, you know?
I'm going to imagine that when the Americans had their FTC decision about broad like disclosure of sponsorships, that our guys probably threw some kind of bullshit into their back end catalog for the same thing.
In fact, I would say like any medium where they where you put the disclosure up is probably one that counts. Anyway, what is going on? Well, a couple things. So yeah, right off the bat, let me just call attention to this really sick game called Unbeatable. It's on Kickstarter, and yes, everyone has correctly predicted this is a very much a Wooly game, Wooly style. It is a rhythm fighting game, or rhythm combat game, I should say.
No, Wooly. Are you going to be able to play that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, because I'm bad at rhythm.
Well, it was kind of a Batman joke, but yeah.
Oh, so yo, I didn't know anything about Batman combat in terms of like there being a rhythm game aspect to it at all. I had no idea. When I'd heard about combat in that game series over the years, like I remember just thinking that it was like, oh, okay, so you know, like whatever, like Assassin's Creed or even Tsushima, any of these games where you just auto lock on to the next target, right?
Yeah, a lot of the games that stole the Batman combat didn't actually keep that part of it.
Yeah, they don't. None of those games that I played later on cared about how many times you press the button. They just care about whether you're countering when the counter came at you, right?
Mm.
So,
well, I mean, that's not true either, but
at least not the ones I played.
Okay. Well, did you not play Spider-Man?
I did.
That totally counts. It totally, absolutely cares about how many times you hit the button.
I don't. Okay, if that's the case, then I guess I forgot about that entirely. But yeah, I remember that was part of the reason why I was so like I wasn't meshing with it, because I just didn't know. I didn't know that like that mattered in it. I thought it was just kind of like beat up the goons, you're auto locked onto them, and then every once in a while, you know, when you see something counterable out, just press the counter button. But otherwise, just go back to beating up the goons. And then it was like, yeah, like then it was like, no, when you whiff, it drops the combo. When you
does it,
you know, and
it drops it, and it feels bad.
Yeah. So it took a long time for me to actually grasp that part of it, because that's just I had played later games that didn't ask me that of me. If Spider-Man did, and I forgot, that was also like, it's been a while since I've played Spider-Man. Most of the games I've played.
Have you not played Miles?
No.
Dude, it's great.
Yeah. Is what you're saying, what you're describing, is that in original as well? Or is it?
Yeah, totally. It's a mechanic that a lot of them stole, but a lot of them didn't. Like Tsushima didn't steal it.
Okay.
And it is basically queue up the next attack on the hit of the current one, and it will double your combo score. So it only applies to the ones that have a combo score.
Spider-Man might be the only game that I played that had that then. I don't know if I played any other games that had the Batman style combat that asked that of you. And without it, it just kind of ends up being, you know, a similar vibe of like flying around the group, you know, cutting them down or whatever, parrying, and then, you know, it ends up being just that thing, or you're getting the assassin stab or whatever the case is. But yeah, I didn't play Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor had it.
I didn't play those. Yeah, I didn't play that. You know, so it might be yeah. I think Spider-Man would have been the only time prior to this that I encountered that. Yeah. So, what was I even saying? What is it?
You were talking about Unbeatable, the trailer of which I'm watching right now.
Yes, very cool game. Check it out. Kickstarter blew past its Kickstarter goal in the first 15 hours. So no worries about that. They're just firmly looking at their stretch goals.
They're going like super hard on this VHS aesthetic.
Yep, VHS aesthetic, anime VHS aesthetic. Cool. Very, very cool art style, simplified anime look.
I love.
Yeah, it reminds me of like some of the moments in Kill la Kill where you see like the characters doing like really cool shit, but their designs get really simplified. Like they lose a bunch of lines, but they get, you know, like more frames in exchange for it. Yeah, stuff like that, I'd say, is the vibe of this art style here. And it is, you're beating things up and fighting to a rhythm and to a note chart that's flying at you, and you have to attack the notes.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, give it a peep if it's your thing. Give it a back. I think there's a playable demo that you can get your hands on, and just not much to say besides looks rad. Check it out.
I have a Kickstarter that I'd like to mention. Wooly, have you seen the trailer for, I want to say it's called Crow Sworn?
Nope.
Oh, here it is. Why don't you check it out? It's about 40 seconds long. That's not on Kickstarter yet, but it is a genuinely cool looking Metroidvania that looks slightly familiar. If you go ahead and look at the trailer for Crow
yes,
Sworn,
actually, I did see. Yes, yeah.
it is
Uh-huh.
the most overt rip I have ever seen of an existing game.
I mean,
Like the jump and the pogo and the art is like identical to Hollow Knight.
are we even calling attention to this? Like,
Well, here's the thing, right? It actually looks great, rip or not.
but
if
like,
it's even like even if it's even half as good as Hollow Knight, that
okay, but there's
really
homage,
good.
there's rip, and there's I need to see side by sides to make sure some of these assets weren't stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the way that this thing dies and bounces on the ground looks like a Hollow Knight enemy.
Like the one of the thing that got me the most is that if you look out of the corner of your eye, it looks so much like Hollow Knight because the character's movement speed through the environment and the screen scroll is exactly the same.
Fortunately, Hollow Knight is pretty. So,
yes,
it's a pretty thing to look at. But, boy, are they not trying to hide
imitation's the
what they're
sincerest
doing
form
here.
of flattery, man. When it showed up on my timeline, I thought it was a Silk Song trailer.
Yeah, I'm not... It's a little too close.
It's a little much.
It's a little too close, man.
It's too close.
Uncomfortably close. To the point where I'm not a fan of that. There's cool stuff happening, but... yeah. Anyway, Silk Song's coming. Give Silk Song your attention.
One day Silk Song will come out. I kind of expect
Name
Silk
of
Song
game,
to have like
don't worry about it. Go check out Silk Song. How about that?
What was I gonna say? I feel like Silk Song's gonna like drop a trailer, and at the end of the trailer, it'll be it's out tomorrow. I can go for some Silk Song. I want to play Silk Song so bad.
A lot of folks. I figured I would just. I don't have a ton to say on this because I mean I could probably rattle on, but very quickly, I have been asked by quite a few people as to whether or not QA are devs, and since I've told a lot of stories about QA, I assume that I would be able to chime in on the topic of heat right now on Twitter.
By the strictest definition of the term development, they're absolutely so.
Yeah.
like linguistically in English.
I mean,
QA is absolutely developers.
Well, I don't know if my job title is like dev tester. Does that count?
Yeah.
Because that's literally a title that you can have. You see? Now that's obvious, and I think
I would expand that out to like the guys and gals who are doing the crash tests at your local car factory are absolutely part of the development team. It's important.
This is one of those things where, like, you know, like 90%, like everyone sees this and like they are chiming in to go like, yeah, no, this one person saying that was like someone with a stupid opinion in the wrong, and most people are in agreement that like, yes, this absolutely counts. So that is nice, but I would like to, if anything, I'm like it's not interesting to me that someone said that testers are not developers, right? To me, that's not interesting. What is interesting is that a lot of testers I've worked with, they themselves do not feel like they're a part of the team. They themselves don't feel that way. And part of that is because, you come in, you do an entry-level job. In a lot of cases, you're starting out in a disposable position doing minimum wage hours. And, you know, it's like you end up feeling like basically someone who's flipping burgers versus a chef at a Michelin restaurant.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's pretty easy to feel like you're not actually a game developer if you happen to be working at a third-party contractor and the dev team refers to the QA department in their notes as the Garbo Squad.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
Stuff like that. That kind of
like,
treatment, you know?
Yeah, no shit, people are going to come out of that not feeling like they were active or integral part.
Yeah, furthermore, we're a part of the most contentious department, and, you know, a lot of the times there will be, like, fucking people losing their minds that, like, get angry at QA and literally blame them for, you know, like, bugs existing in the game and all kinds of nonsense.
QA has a crazy distinction on that, because, like, I mean, you've worked in there, and I've followed this shit forever, and it's like, I've spoken to devs, and no matter how reasonable they are, every now and then they act like QA created the bug.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
to fuck with them.
Now, when devs get mad because QA did not find a bug, that's justified. Different. And that is a very fair thing of, like, you literally didn't do your job here, and now it's costing us a lot of time and money, and the project is going to suffer because of it. That's a very valid criticism, but this is not the same thing. This is
there are developers, I don't know why they even have QA departments, because they blame the QA department for finding the bug and then don't fix it. So why bother having people finding the bugs at all? If you're not going to fix them.
I know of projects where some of the dev team basically went, we don't need QA, we can find the shit ourselves. And, like, that's where, and this is where a producer steps in, a good producer, and says, thank you for your input, shut the fuck up, please, we're going to go get some testers, because that you're crazy if you think you're going to do both at the same time as we scale upwards into a project, right? Some people are just really out of touch. And it becomes evident very quickly on any given project. But yeah, the thing about this discussion is that there are a lot of people in QA who do not feel that way themselves, and, like, that, if anything, is to me more of, like, that's more of a shitty thing about that take is when the people themselves are, like, isolated and excluded, despite putting hundreds and hundreds and sometimes thousands of hours on projects. I mean, like, there are projects that would come into the office sometimes, and, like, it's like, for example, there's games that are like, oh, this is just like a kid's game on, like, a website somewhere, so it's not really that high priority or important for the studio that's making it. It's just like a minor thing. And, like, the QA team become a part of that project and start influencing it by, like, you know, pointing out everything that's going on with it. And the team of programmers, artists, music people, sound designers will rotate out and change completely while the QA team stays the same. And eventually, they are not only the people testing the game, they're some of the most senior members of the staff that know the project from day one.
The only person that's been here since the start of the project is the QA lead.
It's crazy, but that fucking happens, you know? And they have to be the people who, like, in a meeting or on a call or whatever, like, people are like, hey, so yeah, like, we got notes from this person who doesn't work here anymore, or whatever the case, you know, can you fill us in on this or that, or we're missing assets here, do you guys, like, literally there'd be things where, like, the QA team becomes the resource to fill in the new team that's, like, replaced the old team that replaced the team before that, you know? Making the thing, like, the continued smooth running of this project is 100% dependent on this group of core senior people here. But it doesn't change the fact that they're going to be treated like shit the whole time. It doesn't change the fact that you know, people get cliquish and unappreciative and disrespectful, and ultimately look at QA as the people who walk up to the desk and drop the pile of papers on it, right? And it's just a perspective. It's just every time I open up my bug tracker, I see 100 new things, and that means more work for me, and that means that it sucks, and especially if that person is going through shitty crunch, especially if that person's undergoing shitty pressure from their team to get these bugs fixed, and everything is pressing down on them, and then they open up the database and they see a whole new bunch of shit in TTP, in bug tracker, in test track, in whatever it is, then they're just going to take it out and just start lashing out at a department that's like here to make the game be good.
Why did you put bugs in our game? Actually, you put the bugs in your game.
Yeah.
I just saw them.
So if anything, I would like that part to be the discussion, and never mind the main character of whatever stupid Twitter thing. It's like, yeah, it's obviously a dumb take, and that's the end of that. Like, but
yeah, it's some dumbass game journalist said it, and then like everybody, including like I saw Dave from New Blood, it's the CEO of a company, just going like, "You're dumb, lol." Yeah. Right? Like you don't know what you're talking about.
It is nice to see people that are parts of games, like to look around and see like a bunch of people with like the check mark that are like saying, hey, I work at this team or this staff or whatever, and also like, yes, QA is super important and they're part of the team, and saying these things, because it certainly didn't feel like it at times years ago, so seeing that like discussed openly and QA being defended on Twitter at the very least is like, oh, that's nice that this is a sentiment, because it certainly wasn't a popular thing back when, I was in the trenches years ago.
Oh, this gentleman apparently today is not a journalist. He's a game developer himself. So, wow, he should really know better.
Well,
I thought he was a journalist because he's a Forbes contributor. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, I hope no one finds bugs in your game, sir.
He then backtracked and was like, no, they're a valued part of the team. They're just not developers. And it's like, English is your first language. You should understand what developer actually literally means. It means somebody involved in the development of a product. Guess what? Everyone who gets hands-on the thing is part of the development of the product. You could make the argument that maybe marketing isn't, but they're actually still important. I think the most interesting thing about all of this,
I'm surprised you went there. You can go to HR, dude. You can go so much more extrapolated,
Yeah.
There's
HR
positions
I always viewed as like the management of the company rather than the product, personally.
Fair enough, but yeah, anyway, it's to look at people that are putting their full 9 to 5 and quote unquote 9 to 5.
9 to 5. Look at you.
People that are putting their full 9 to 12s into the game, and to just be treated like like the fucking the disposable help, as it were, and whatnot. That are, again, you're getting fucking minimum wage, and you're treated like shit for what you're doing anyway. Like, at the bare minimum, like, dude. I've worked on...
Oh, that was a long pause. I thought you disconnected.
No, I just had to put it like... I've personally put my hands on hundreds of games, right?
Oh, yeah.
When
on a professional context, you mean, like testing-wise?
Testing-wise. When I left the industry and I took inventory, I had a resume of hundreds of games tested. And the amount of games where I'm credited for what I did is not even 10%.
Yeah, that's a whole different fucked up thing.
There are times when you come in and you get an email saying, hey, we're gonna get credited. Isn't that cool? And it's like, yay, we get our names on the thing that we've been working on. That's awesome. Because most of the time you just assume that won't be the case. In fact, a lot of the times you see a name go by that just says the studio you're working for if you're outsourcing, or in some cases not even that, because they want the QA to be stealth. They want it to be hidden. They want the you know, whether it's like the production budget needs to hide where they went to get this extra testing from, or whether they needed to like get someone to look at compliance and make sure, because their own compliance testers were not doing a good job, so they wanted to make sure everything was okay, but they had to do so in secret. So we're not even going to credit the company. And you know, I'm pretty sure that like whoever makes the contracts for these with the studios they'll talk about like, yeah, we'll offer you that, we'll go uncredited, we'll, you know, take the thing there, and they might even charge extra for something like that. Who know? I don't know. But if they do, the testers never see any of that, certainly. But like a fraction of what I've worked on, do I have the name in the credits for, and that applies to everyone else that I was there with. So when the standard at the time, at the very least, was one that you did not expect to be even thanked officially, like what are you supposed to feel about that? You know?
It sucks. One of the things that always comes out every time this any of these game dev topics come up, and the more and more I talk to more people in the industry, is that more light needs to be shown on a part of development that often doesn't actually develop the game at all. It's all like, what I mean is they don't get hands-on the game. That it's all people skills. It's all management, and that's producers. Because every time I get a hold of somebody, I discover that the difference between many disasters and many successes is the producer acting as either a magnifying glass to blow up the worst ideas possible, or prevent them from touching the rest of the project.
I think I've described...
Like, just like... I was talking to people about Cyberpunk, and they were straight up telling me, producer came in and said something stupid, and like a month of our lives just disappeared.
I've talked about it before, but it is a very like common thing to see the producer role be filled by someone going for a Hail Mary play on their career, where they just went, I've been here doing stuff in some other context, or I haven't, or I was at another studio somewhere, and I see some requirements here, and I don't meet them, but fuck it, long shot. Never did this before. Let's see what happens. I was a boss at a telemarketing company. Now let's see if I can land this production.
I know how to manage people.
Exactly.
Projects.
And they nail it sometimes. Sometimes they do.
Sometimes they nail it.
You know, sometimes they have, okay, I don't know if you know The Office, but
I'm not familiar with The Office.
Okay, so for people who know The Office, sometimes a producer will come in and do the interview and nail it like Robert California, who is just a perfect example of like overqualified for this position. You know, it's the dude from Sex, Lies, and Videotape who then becomes Ultron later on in the MCU. But you know, you're just you have such a strong interview where it's just like, you know, like, so do you feel that you're qualified for this position? And it's just, do you feel you're qualified? Everything is sex, you see. And you just describe the history of how your industry is about selling sex to the client, and that you have the anyway, whatever. It's hilarious. It's a really funny bit. There's people that land in the producer role and then they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So then they start doing the thing where they scan emails and then they walk around and talk to people on the team and just kind of get a feel for what they're supposed to be doing without ever directly asking anybody what they're supposed to be doing, because that betrays that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And if you get really good at that, you can just skate the fuck around for months before anyone finds out that you have no idea how you got this
you
job.
haven't actually done anything.
You Costanza'd your way, or Kramer'd your way, rather, not Costanza. You Kramer'd your way into a job. I don't even really work here, you know? And
yeah, there's basically 3 types of producers that I've been able to deduce from my talking to people in the industry. One is the person who really believes that they're a great producer and will play the newest God of War over the weekend, and then will come in and tell the team that they spoke with the director, and what we really need to do is add weapon crafting to the game, like a year and a half into development. And the team goes, but there's no, hey, come on, we're gonna put the come on, and just like every couple of weeks, like a new feature appears. That's apparently what happened with Cyberpunk, is that they would go out drinking and then come back after playing the new hot release and go, our game's gonna have this, and the team would go, we haven't finished the last thing you said we had to have. There's the gentleman you described who is fucking faking it. And then there's the good producer, which I think the best current example is probably, if you watch the No Clip documentary on 14, Yoshi P has become like famous for his production capabilities. But he even describes, like, when coming on to 1.0 for FF14, that he describes his process and how it deleted a couple years off his life, because he was like min-maxing and managing every single person's time down to the hour and how much work they were getting done, and like pushing them around to various parts of the thing and then reallocating resources to the day. Which is astonishing. And then he's like, everyone was kind of sick of it, and I'm so tired, I will never do that again. But it's the only way we could have pulled that shit out of the fire.
It just, the producer that takes days off the clock of their life in order to get the thing done. Yeah, that is admirable. I remember a friend of mine who worked at the office, who would basically, like, amongst the devs and stuff like that, would like play, really cool shit and stuff, and like just introduce them to like rad Japanese shit that like would never be in the office under any context, because these are dudes that like they generally stick to AAA Western releases, and that's kind of all they're doing in their time. And so, he would just kind of bring in a tactical Vanquish at lunchtime and play that on the lunch caf screen.
Hey, you guys ever see this shit?
And then just kind of see them kind of gather and be like, oh, what is this? Oh, this is some more of your weird Japanese stuff again. Ha ha, okay. And whatever. And then just starts doing cool ass shit. And they're like, oh, And then later on, after lunch break is done, walking by to get some coffee and seeing one of the producers with the controller in his hand on his own, just playing the game for a little bit and just checking stuff out, taking notes, and things like that. Like, it's when you have the world of someone that is like, pretty outside of well, I would say like pretty closed-minded, because they're not exposed to enough, and they also, haven't been doing this particularly well, then you end up with, I played this game, when are we going to do that? We need to insert this to change the game up. And it's like, motherfucker, you didn't write the GDD. This is not your job. This is not what you're supposed to do. But, the role of producer will also carry different weight depending on the studio. So some games, the producer is second chair and is practically the voice of God. But in other games, the producer is more of a junior position. And I've seen
especially in Japan, the producer role is really nebulous, because sometimes in Japan it means director, which is really bizarre.
Yeah, we talked about that a little last week. But like, no, I've seen projects and where like, if you have questions and stuff, like you're not really taking these to the producer because they're much more minor in their role here, even though that's what they're credited as, weird. But yeah, there you go. That's the opinion.
I'm getting from some trustworthy sources in chat. I legitimately mean that. That apparently on the last live letter, Yoshi P was talking about how he was denying the staff's overtime, or they wanted to stay later to work on shit, and he was like, "No, go home."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or stay home, rather, as it is with the work from home stuff.
Kudos, good shit.
All right, yeah, I got a link here. Let's see. Will content that has been made while making several dev members overwork to an unhealthy degree really be enjoyable? Just straight up, like, if we have to overwork the devs to make the shit, is it even going to be any good?
Yeah.
What a pragmatic view of things.
Yeah. If the game has a body count on it, is it really enjoyable? If karoshi occurred in the development of this game. You know how when, like, a cyclist gets hit, they tie, like, a white bike to, like, the intersection?
Is that to, like, celebrate?
No, it's when, like, someone dies at that intersection.
They'll tie, like, I keep almost getting hit by cyclists out my door, and I hate it.
Okay, well, when that's what they do. They put a white painted bike on the corner wherever that happened, and it's just like, yeah, if there's like a fucking desk here that's like just a white desk to symbolize the person that fucking died in the production of this game, is it truly enjoyable? Anyway,
yeah, it says a lot about, like, hey, does everybody like Hades? That's what a game feels like when it was made by people who were fucking stoked.
I was trying to set up
day.
some absurd shit, and you just jumped in there with a fucking tactical fucking nuke. So I don't even get to land.
It's a skill, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, man.
Enjoy that. All right. Anyway,
what can I say?
Filled for time. Good job. We stretched out that MP3 line.
What do we got next on the docket?
Well, we can talk about the fact that you need to jump on PSN now, right now, because the purge has started.
It's actually much worse than expected.
The list of PS3 games that can no longer get patches has been compiled because people have been testing it and figured out that, they've already started the cleansing. If you can't patch your game, you can't get online, you can't earn trophies, so you are going to have some trouble with a list of games here that I'm gonna tag the docket with. But
store going down's one thing, but the
Third Strike Online Edition is on that list. FYI. So if you're big on that, or if you want to play JoJo All-Star Battle.
The Xbox is suddenly a much cooler place to buy your games. It's almost like they switch every time.
All you have to do is stand still and not trip over your own dick. Just stand still.
That's all you gotta do.
So, yes, PS3 games already being our patches availability being delisted from PSN, and then we have alongside that an AMA that apparently was verified that a former Sony employee basically came out to talk about what's happening and basically gave some insight saying that, like, they're pretty upset with what's happening too, and giving some context about it. Again, this is just an AMA on Reddit. It was anonymous, but it was from r/vita, and the administrators said that they confirmed that the person worked at Sony not to confirm necessarily the claims, but just confirming that they were employed by Sony at some point. So before I bring this up and get like yeeted into a world of this is bullshit. So this person came out and basically, they're pretty not happy with what's going on, and they said as soon as the firmware was broken for Vita in 2016 or so, that's when the whole thing was on the chopping block. This is what took it internally from low effort passive income to actively trying to kill. So from this thread
that
here,
explains a lot.
Sounds like hacking did more harm than good.
After the PSP and the Vita gets hacked, and they're like, well, time to give up.
Yeah. So fun fact, the PSP was already planned to have trophies until that firmware was broken, and then they dropped it like a hot potato. Prior to the firmware hack, Sony were fine with letting the Vita live on, supported by third-party partners, providing minimalistic support. The attitude clearly, drastically, and suddenly changed when the firmware was broken, and I don't believe we would be where we are today if that hadn't happened. On dev kits, Sony doesn't communicate very well internally. Still talk to people on the team that deals with dev kits, and they found out about the Vita store closure the same day as the general public. Sorry.
It's such a shame that the Vita got hacked that way. I mean, everybody knows that you can contribute the Nintendo 3DS's enormous, gargantuan, never-ending success to the fact that there was no way to ever get pirated games for the 3DS, and there was no way to emulate it. And that really helped them out. And if you had been able to pirate 3DS games or even DS games, that surely would have killed those platforms dead, and they would have been complete failures.
Oh, wait,
they were the most pirated shit ever, and it didn't matter because those devices were fucking banging.
So here's the thing about this, though, that contextualizes it really interestingly. So why destroy a low-effort income supply because a few people are hacking the system? Is it a copyright issue? Is it lawsuit fears? What is it? Answer: it's hard to overstate the impact of the 2011 hack on Sony's corporate culture. They're extremely fearful of hacks and network intrusions. So, literally, the big Sony hack from 2011, where we found out about all the shit talking about the Spider-Man deal and all that nonsense, was what scared their entire corporate culture into running away from everything involving leaks, hacks, and network being compromised. That thing.
What a bunch of stupid pussies. I'm sorry, because it's funny because it wasn't just the PS3 thing. Sony, I think, was it Pictures also got fucking super hacked, and everyone found out that Amy Pascal was a fucking crazy person and terrible at her job, and that every single decision Sony Pictures had ever made was the stupidest fucking decision possible.
Oh, it was primarily not game related. It was primarily emails from Sony Pictures and things like that were the biggest headlines, if anything.
We're very terrified that people will find out we're bad at our jobs, so we're gonna make sure to show everyone that we're bad at our jobs, and that way they won't be able to find out.
The PS3 Vita stores were hacked together at what I consider the advent of the digital era. So the PS4 store was built as a separate entity and learned a lot of the what not to do lessons from the Vita and PS3 stores. Basically there was an internal idea of just keeping this online and going for a low effort passive income, but upon the firmware hack, they just actively started going kill it off, get rid of it, and this is all based on their fear of what happened in 2011. It's an insane timeline. It's
that explains a lot, because the PS3's current store, the funniest thing about everyone got out there and get everything you can off the PS3 store, I say to you, good luck. Because the modern PS3 store has crashed my PS3.
Oh yeah,
like it is
constantly,
so unoptimized.
It used to happen
and
it used to happen like 1 out of 5, like it was frequent crashing.
I assume, in hindsight, that a lot of that is changes to the store made to make it more secure that were horribly optimized.
So
and with the context that the PS4 store and thus PS5 store are like a completely separate, different ecosystem that they're much more comfortable with, it makes a little bit of sense that like the PS3 store and Vita store are being stabbed, but the PS4 store will continue on pretty much forever inside the PS5 store, and probably so on and so forth until one of those gets hacked.
Correct.
And then they'll start the ecosystem over, I guess.
Correct. What actually is pretty significant here to me is up until this news, we had been, again, assuming this is all what it says. Up until this, we had been assuming that like this was being pulled down over a basic like greed motivator, right? Like shut it down and
money.
then sell it later, right? Piecemeal if need be. Now that it's like, no, that's not the motivator. It's not a greed motivator. It's fear. That means it's turbo dead, and they're not even ever going to do anything to make up for the lack of access that we have now, or the killing off of entire consoles. If you have a worthless hunk of plastic in the form of a PSP go fuck yourself, because corporate fear is going to make them not think twice about finding a way to do something for that person.
Oh, well, we're so afraid of piracy that we've actually given the moral, and in many cases, actually not even joking, legal justification for people to pirate. Oops.
Fear is how we fall.
Like, the PS4's
Confusing
CMOS battery will eventually die and will be unable to authenticate any game, even any game that is currently locally downloaded onto your thing, because it will not be able to register its time, which means PS4 digital games have a shelf life
also
on
the
the
mind
PS4.
killer.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But that means that they have now created a moral and, in some countries, legal justification for people to hack the PS4 to emulate it.
So yeah, there you go. That's what it was. They're just straight up like, this is all fallout from the same series of emails where we found out about that Kim Jong-un Seth Rogen movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is all like connected in some weird fucking way, you know? Oh man.
I see a fantastic summation of this statement in the chat from Ramen Rider. Throw your merchandise in the ocean to own the pirates. You can't rob me if I shoot myself. Ah? Ah?
But you
Sony's
blocked
so
off the
fucking
Suez Canal.
Sony's so fucking incompetent.
Oh no,
Like,
my mouse died.
Every internal discussion that has ever come out of
Be
Sony
right back.
has ranged from these people are literally insane or they are laughably incompetent. Like, we all had crazy Ken Kutaragi. He was a crazy person, right? But now we got Jim Ryan. He's just bad at his job. What happened to Sean Layden? Sean Layden came out and was like, everyone had the worst reaction to Sean Layden ever, as this motherfucking businessman, scumbag, shithead. I hate him. And then he comes out talking about how making Vib Ribbon wasn't about the money. And then, like, a year after that, he just disappeared.
Yeah. I wonder how, like, in the future, I do wonder about how these figures will, these names that we know, like how would a Yamauchi handle modern day video game industry? How would a dude like that?
Wooly. He'd handle it the same way he used to handle it, with the Yakuza. like
I'm just thinking of all these names that float around early video game history, and just like, you know, how do you plug them into like a 2021 fucking version of the market? And it, like, my brain cracks a little bit.
I see Ken Kutaragi coming out onto his personal Twitter and being like, PlayStation will be the first gaming console to support NFT.
You can actively mine for them collectively together. You will. You can, and if you choose to not mine it, if you choose to not gather the spoils, then Sony will gather them from your console as it stays plugged in. This is the cost of joining the PlayStation family. Yeah. No, the old guard, man. And then you got
so fucking stupid.
And then you got the fucking like the fact that there's literally a character in the latest No More Heroes whose last name is Richatello. Like, it's like he's been holding on to that one. That was so long ago.
For John Riccatello is forever.
Like, he is fucking just boiling with that one all these years later, you know?
Well, man, did you see or hear about what Shadows of the Dam was supposed to be?
All I know is it got fucked 5 ways from Tuesday. Like, that's all I know.
It was supposed to be like an atmospheric, like almost Silent Hill horror game about a man going down into Suda and Mikami's version of Dante's Inferno, and all your character had was a torch.
That is not the same game.
And then Riccatello comes in and goes, "Ah! You worked on Resident Evil 4!" And that was the end of that.
Yeah. A lot of like stories about the West and the East coming together in like production timelines, and like horrible things coming out of it.
Yeah, and on the other hand, you can track down Tim Rogers talking about how he accidentally invented the Gigolo system.
Okay.
You familiar with that?
I'm not.
You remember Killer is Dead?
Yep.
You remember the the dating simulator Gigolo system?
Mm-hmm, yep, totally.
Tim, I think Tim made that as a joke during Shadow of the Dam. I don't remember the story perfectly, but Suda was like, "Yeah, do it." For Killer is Dead.
Is he taking credit for planting the seeds of that idea? Is that what happened?
I believe it is. Hold on, let me. I can't remember the story perfectly.
Tim Rogers is the one who invented the legendary tit stare gameplay.
I can't find it.
Is this what you're saying right now? Is this what?
Saying that
because we're putting some big credit on his name.
Tell you what, I'll find this later and I'll put it up on my Twitter.com.
Okay, all right. Let's hold off until we confirm things before we give so much credit for such gameplay. Anyway. So.
Oh God, that's right. No Lollipop Chainsaw was supposed to be No More Cheeros.
Anyway, so speaking of No More Heroes 3, some announcements came out about that, some new screenshots, including art from all kinds of talented people and designers on the team. Bad Girl is back, almost single-handedly due to Western...
Wait, what?
Due to Western cosplayer popularity. Bad Girl is back and is standing...
Bad Girl is dead AF, man.
Nope,
What the hell?
she
That's
is
crazy.
back and alive. Bad Man is also going to make his appearance in the game as well.
Well, yeah, he was in Travis Strikes Back, I think.
And Shinobu as well. They're all back. They're all back. And yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I can report first person that that he was a huge fan of Western Bad Girl cosplay. So I am not surprised that this is how things worked out. There's also, I think, what was it? There's a character called New Type, who is a reference to Silver Case things. So there's
really?
There's Silver Case references that are going to be a relevant part of this game. There's a lot going on. Kamui. New Type Kamui. Everything is happening in this game. It seems as if
I gotta go back and get a hold of Silver Case.
It seems as if he's pulling the whole universe together. The Sudaverse is like not just plot points, not just references, outright plot points. Exactly. What else did we see here? Okay, there's they announced the voice of Jeane, the cat, who you might recall, Travis's cat.
Oh, I do. You had the mini game where you put her hand on your stomach and you waggled the cat.
So apparently, Jeane will have a voice actor that serves as your Navi-like role that will, tell you plot things about what to do and where to go. And it looks like Ike Amadi has been cast as the voice of Jeane, known for his other roles as Shao Kahn and Atrocitus.
I hope so. Oh man. I'm so excited.
Javik in Mass Effect 3.
Fuck, it's all the same, like, deep man voice.
Yes. Ikechukwu Prince Amadi is the voice of Jeane the cat. So that's happening in No More Heroes 3. Yeah. Shit's wild, man. I don't know what's going on with this game, but might need to.
I bet it'll be really great, except for the one part that Suda decides to make bad on purpose.
See, I don't want to have to go back and finish Travis Strikes Again, but I might just to put together what's actually happening here.
I hate that Suda thinks it's like deep to make parts of his games bad on purpose. I hate that. It's the one thing I really, really dislike about him as developer.
Well, anyway, yeah, weird stuff going on with No More Heroes, but all-star cast and all-star I think they showed off they got like the Bayonetta designer to do, I think it was Henry Cooldown's design, and like different characters are being handled by like different legendary artists and shit. Like it's crazy. So yeah, this is a big ass deal, and I would not. It's like Suda doing the equivalent of like what Sakurai does, with Smash.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I
all favors.
Yeah, if he doesn't retire after this, at the very least, he gets to go on vacation for a long ass time.
What would Suda do on vacation? Can he chill out, or does he need to like luchador wrestling at all times? It just seems like the kind of guy that's it's odd to think of Suda51 just sitting in a chair reading a newspaper.
Oh yeah, Travis has 2 kids.
I'm sorry?
Travis has 2 kids. Yeah.
I don't get it. I played No More Heroes 1 and 2, but I didn't play Travis Strikes Again, and now I feel like I missed like 5 games.
A lot happened in the time between 2 and 3. I don't know, but apparently he's a parent of kids.
Okay, that's what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's going on. All right. We can moving on here. We can play a little game.
I'll play a game.
Would you
I
like
like games. What
you
do
like
you got?
games? I got a game for you.
Yeah, hit me. What do you got?
Okay. So, as we know, Epic is having a hard time.
Oh yeah.
They're struggling to handle this battle with Apple, and at the same time, they are continuously loss leading in their battle against Steam by basically just shoving money at any game they can make exclusive. As we've seen over the years, the Epic Game Store exclusive has become you know what? Because people suck and are not fun, the game has been ruined. Because I was going to ask you how much money you think they lost as time has gone on in their attempt to buy out Steam, but everybody's fucking no fun, so that's ruined. A
lot. I was running my own math on the statement they released, honestly.
It's
a crazy amount.
How committed they are to basically pricing out Steam in the hopes that it'll eventually turn around and becoming a profit. So, Apple put together some court documents that were published this week, and they revealed that Epic committed $444 million in minimum guarantees for 2020 alone. They are they've lost $181 million on the Epic Game Store in 2019, projected to lose $273 million in 2020, even with the significant growth revenue for last year. They confirmed that $700 million was spent on the store in 2020.
Let me get the chart.
Mm-hmm.
The chart is really helpful because the chart says we made $700 million on the Epic Store, and $265 million of that was all third-party titles combined in a 3-year period. And you're like, what? You only made $265 million off of every third-party game on your goddamn fucking store?
Because the deal, remember when we would report that new indie game that we're looking forward to has been offered a deal they can't refuse by Epic? The deal ensures that the studio will continue to exist by making this in-development game a guaranteed success in terms of at least Epic pays for its initial sales launch and batch. So the studio was like, yeah, we'll take that exclusivity for a year or whatever, because why the fuck wouldn't you? it secures the studio, you know?
Yeah,
And
so I ran some quick maths on this due to the numbers that got released, and Tim Sweeney actually retweeted this loss number, going, "Yeah, we've been killing it." And like I guess Tim just assumes no one knows how to do basic math because the chart is damning. They gave away 749 million free games, which means they had to pay a developer something for those games, right? Now, it could have either been a lump sum or a stipend per free game given away, right? They only made 700 million on the store total, which means they gave away 50 million more games than they made in dollars. Like, right off the bat, even assuming every free game they gave away was $1, they lost $50 million at least, but they probably lost millions.
so let's convert that to a calendar, shall we? According to Apple's documents from the filing here, at best, Epic does not expect the game store to have a cumulative gross profit before 2027.
All right, guys, do you think they're going to beat Steam by 2027? And if I can find it, I also ran some more math on it for loss leading. But basically, here we go. I went and tracked down the Steam numbers of Hades, right? Because Hades is probably the most high-profile, man, Epic paid for nothing they've ever done, right? Because everyone just pretended, from my personal experience anyway, that Hades just existed the instant it hit Steam and the Switch.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Right?
I had to, my neck almost broke on the double take.
Right? So, Hades on the PC, minimum, it could have sold up to 8 million, or but minimum, it can be confirmed that it sold 2 million on Steam, right? Okay. Hades costs $20 USD, which means at the 30% cut that Steam has, they would have made 12 million off of that. Epic only gives a 12% cut because, you know, they have the better deal for developers, which means they would have had to have sold at least 6 million copies of Hades on the Epic Game Store. Does anyone believe that they sold 6 million copies of Hades on the Epic Game Store? I do not believe that is the case. They have created a system in which they are bankrolling indie studios so that the indie studios can then later sell most of their copies on platforms that aren't theirs. Like, people are describing this as loss leading, right? Loss leading, like on a PlayStation or an iPhone, is supposed to get you into the ecosystem and keep you on the ecosystem. But from my personal experience and what I can tell from every number I look at, what happens is they pay for something like Phoenix Point. People don't buy Phoenix Point on the Epic Game Store. The ones that do buy Phoenix Point on the Epic Game Store then just keep the Epic Game Store around to download every single free game that comes out, which costs them money. And then most people buy it on Steam or the console releases when it comes out.
Correct.
I think part of the reason that the game,
Digital
the
NTR.
Epic Game Store doesn't have reviews is because if the Epic Game Store had reviews built into their store, you'd be able to see that Hades would only have 1,100 reviews or some shit compared to the fucking how many?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Compared to the 127,000 that are on Steam.
Any form of community indicator would give a clue as to how much attention it's getting on the store itself.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
If they had reviews you could write, you would be able to immediately see the like multiplicative number that Steam had sold more than Epic. There are 127,000 Hades reviews. If the Epic Game Store had Hades up for review and it had like 10,000, you'd be like, holy shit, what a waste of money.
So As a result, Epic has funded and must continue to fund the Epic Game Store through funding and capital raised by other parts of its business, which have been incredibly profitable for several years.
Which is Fortnite.
Literally the only thing keeping it going.
But
in response, Tim says that they expect, their calculations expect, that the Epic Game Store will be profitable by 2023.
Ooh, I bet. I bet. You know, Microsoft said the Xbox would be profitable one day, and they still haven't hit it. And they're doing a lot better job than Epic is.
Dude, I mean, look. On the one hand, everybody say thanks, Tim, for the free games.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
I'm turning around on the Epic Store specifically because it is an indie charity fund. Like straight up.
Like on, you know, like let's like you can if you want a silver lining this sumbitch, it's like yeah, they're bleeding out of spite, and everybody can come get some juice before it falls. Come get it. But Fortnite is keeping them up.
I have an interesting supposition. Epic Games versus Apple is a lawsuit brought by by Epic Games against Apple in August of 2020 in regards to Apple's practices in the iOS store, right? Because they didn't want to give the 30% revenue cut to Apple.
Yeah.
Do you have any like inkling in your head that part of that might have been the Epic Store isn't making any money and the fucking stock price or whatever has to go up? Where can we get more money? Well, Fortnite's the only thing that makes money. The engine also makes money.
Oh.
Why don't we just go and get more money from phone users?
But motherfuckers on their iPhones are not getting as much money as they could from the only source of fucking gas they have.
They sell the engine too. The engine does make them a lot of money.
Yes,
you can't sell the engine more.
No, you need to hit the users. So
okay,
that's
Epic's private, so it's not stock prices. It's just give more money now.
So the whole campaign is based on them looking at the lifeblood of the entire company and and the continued loss of the game store and realizing they need to strike it hotter.
This makes perfect sense. Okay, you've got the engine business, which you can't, like, everyone's using that engine. There's no more, and there's no more people to sell it to.
I mean, there are new developers pop up, but that's not the same level of profitability over time. It's not. It's a different discussion entirely.
Right. Okay. So the engine is like a set cost. It's going to make them money, and it's good. It has the same amount of cost, the development, yada yada. The store is tanking. The store's a money pit, and Fortnite is a money golden goose. But the problem with Fortnite is that Fortnite is the biggest game in the world.
Yes.
You can't get more people into it.
You can by just existing,
but like not 100 million more, right? There's like it's hit as about a big mass as it could possibly hit.
Maybe look, how about this? There's probably a set amount that you expect that it grows by every month, and the moment that slightly starts to dip, you have to look back at the existing base and go, how can we get more?
Actually, I was checking it out. The Fortnite player count stabilized last year around 340 million. Like, I think it's 350 now.
Okay.
But, like, the Fortnite market is saturated.
And so look, instead of looking up, now we look down.
Yeah. Okay, we've got everyone we can get. How can we get more? Well, we'll have to get more out of every individual person.
Okay.
How do we
now
do that?
Of the different groups of players here, how many are on phone?
A lot. Like, I think it's like 30%. And the phone is the only one of the platforms where they lose that big cut, I think. But I'm not super sure. But regardless, they lose the big cut.
Well, it's clearly enough of a cut that this entire big PR stink show they did, the fucking cringe show, was like in their interest to try and convince people, because like it's an amount that matters that much. If it's 30% of 30%, or whatever the amount would be.
Statistics 2020.
But the desperation behind this entire gesture now comes to light when Apple assesses the situation and looks at it and goes, yeah, this is kind of what they have to do. Because the game store, the money pit that is the game store, is the fucking blood wall from Johnny the Homicidal Maniac that you have to keep wetting with the fresh blood daily. Otherwise, it comes through, and we can't let it come through. Like, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense why this leads to that, and why they have to turn to Fortnite to figure out how to fucking pay for what is not going to make them a fucking dime until 2027.
Okay, hold on. Okay. So, let's do some quick math.
Sure.
What's 30% of $1.2 billion? Is it $40 million? I believe that's right. What's 1/3 of 1. It's 40 million, right?
Let's try to get it. Oh, not that many zeros on the calculator. Damn. Okay.
It's 400 million. Well,
40,
I have
40%?
some math for you. 30%
Yes.
of 1.2 billion is 400 million. Well, according to Sensor Tower, on September 2nd, 2020, State of the Mobile Battle Royale, Fortnite's loss on the mobile platforms represents a $1.2 billion hole in the market, which means if they had succeeded on their ability to cut out Apple, they would have made approximately $400 million a year, which would have paid for the Epic Store.
And probably have put them on track for 2023.
Yep. Look at that. Literally,
yeah. How about
fucking
that?
Figured it out. But now they lost that.
Love a good narrative. Love a good narrative.
It's like a double loss because they lost the Fortnite mobile money over it.
Now that's what you call podcast math.
Oh, I love it. What a bunch of stupid idiots. By the way, if you do want to give Epic money on Fortnite, use creator code Pat Stares At. It's the best creator code.
Oh yeah, true. Be sure to do it while also using hashtag #RipFortnite.
I don't know why that hashtag was trending. I clicked on it, and all I could find was people going, "Why is this trending?"
Well, that's
like every time you click on the hashtag Trudeau must go, and everyone's like, "Why is this trending?" I don't understand.
Usually that's often because like the prairies get mad.
Oh, Wolves, could you give me a second? I know it's a little late in the podcast, but I need a 5-minute break. Dog's got to go pee.
BRB. So, yeah, all right.
Hey, Wooly, speaking of Fortnite, let me ask you a question. I have apparently decided to turn my Fortnite streams into a second podcast. Would you like to come on to my Fortnite stream on Friday?
No.
Well, I offered.
Okay. So, yes, what's going on here on the docket? Well, I don't know if hundreds of thousands of souls being released into the heavens over Buckingham Palace is counts as news.
The Solnado, yes.
The Solnado over Buckingham did occur earlier this week. But not much to say there.
There's a lot to say. Most of it is very rude. Though I do think I would like to pass on the funniest joke I've seen about Princey Phil passing away, which was somebody retweeting the news with the text, you know, when they said the royal family was going to take steps to decrease its racism, I didn't expect something this drastic.
I got a couple of favorite quotes from the Lich King over the years. I'm pretty fond of. How about this one? From 1988. In the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus to contribute something to solving overpopulation.
Well, you're gonna have a hard time beating that one.
It's a good Lich King quote.
That's a good one. Arthas would be proud.
It's not bad. Strong. Yep.
DMX also passed away, which is like legitimately sad.
Yeah, that is sad. But you know what?
What's weirder is that within minutes of his dying, I got the Disco Elysium DMX reference.
I don't think I saw that.
There's a series of dialogue options that are literally just like where the hood at.
Okay. You know,
and he died within minutes of me reaching it. It's my fault.
Yeah, to be fair, there was a really great thing from him doing an interview literally a month ago where he said, you know, I could die tomorrow and say I've had a good run, you know? Mm-hmm. So there was some piece to that. But you know what DMX didn't say?
What's that?
He didn't say, well, you'll never fly in that. You're too fat to be an astronaut, to a 13-year-old visiting a space shuttle.
Oh, man, that's fucking super funny, though. Come on. That's really funny. Oh, man. Oh, what a fucking asshole.
Yep. I don't think he ever was responsible for visiting Kenya and saying, "You're a woman, aren't you?"
I saw that one, yeah.
To a woman in Kenya. And then, of course, if a cricketer, for instance, suddenly decided to go into a school and batter a lot of people to death with a cricket bat, which he could do very easily, I mean, are you going to ban cricket bats?
I think the goofiest thing is that he said that as, you know, the Prince of the UK, which the answer is unequivocally yes.
They're doing knife stuff over there, from what I heard.
Yeah, and then knife stuff is getting locked down. They had an acid thing, and then every drain cleaner you could get a hold of got locked down.
So, yeah. Everyone over there, I hope you are okay with the Solnado, and I wish all of your loved ones who are now free a happy afterlife, peace, and joy to all of your loved ones who are now free to release themselves from their side quests.
Shout out to British orphans. You get to keep your blood. Woo!
Anyways,
how many of those fucking ghouls are left? Too many.
As far as the ones that actually looked like they were puppeteering the underworld, I would say that's the one. But you know, here's a funny picture of him dressed up as a guard making the queen laugh. That's what a chortle. What a sensible chuckle she had. Hey, did you see that trailer?
Did you see the subreddit of like the Britain subreddit over the weekend?
No.
One of the top thread is Prince Philip has died, and the very first post that's pinned is just as a reminder the rules do not allow for mocking people's deaths, and like every comment in the whole thread is deleted. Like every single one. Ah!
Many souls found peace. I think it's all right to feel happy about that. So have you seen the trailer for Neo: The World Ends With You?
I have.
So here's the thing. This game looks fucking great. This 3D style on top of the awesome fashion of The World Ends With You looks incredible. And then the couple glimpses of gameplay we saw looked kind of Kingdom Hearts-ish, like action juggling going on, but like everything was exploding into graffiti arrows, and holy fuck, I was just like hyper sold. It's really
impressive that they were able to it's really impressive that they took such a clearly 2D, like flat art style, and were able to translate it so excellently to 3D.
I can't wait to play it. It looks so good.
It looks super good.
And then I think I saw some, some screenshots of the anime, which I believe is also using 3D, and yeah, they fucking got this shit like nailed, man. Really, really like faithful models. Getting that like, I mean, I don't want to like compare everything to like Arxis with the Strive standard, but like converting these designs into 3D, at the very least in screenshot form, I was like, oh shit, those look like pretty good models that resemble the artwork I saw, but I haven't seen it moving. I did see the game in action, and the game looks good, but I haven't watched the show yet, so I don't know if the show is all right or not. But it is really nice and cool that like they dug this franchise up and then are actually putting money in its direction and allowing it to exist again. I'm like, it's always been such a fucking cool looking thing that like, yeah, it deserved more than just that initial game, and I don't just mean phone ports here and there, you know, like a proper full sequel that has like a full 3D action game now, and everything looks like fucking exactly what this world needed.
I remember when the World Ends With You character showed up in Kingdom Hearts, everybody shit their ass. Like, Zaggy, hey, no barking. I know you're having a tantrum. You stop it. Excuse me, I have to discipline the child. Yes, go back to licking your pillow like a creepazoid. I hope he doesn't fuck that pillow off screen. Where's the camera at? Yeah, let's just go ahead and just give him some privacy.
So the game is introducing a bunch of new characters as well. It looks like they're going for the new generation thing, introducing a fresh cast, some time has passed perhaps, and then a little teaser of like some sort of shadow Neku at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like we might be looking at a like the returning main character is all like fucked up.
He's evil. You gotta fight him.
Or maybe not evil. Maybe just like dark now.
Just give me a reason to fight him. That's all I want from the protagonist of the last game.
That's always great. Hope they do that. And what I also don't imagine it'll be a thing, but because it would be a lot of effort. But in a game about fashion, where your characters are fashionable by default, it would be really cool if you could actually dress them up in the clothing that you are buying and making it a visible change to their model. Because you're buying shirts, pants, hats, pins, backpacks. You're wearing them for points. And, the characters look great on their own, but it would be cool if you could, like, at least modify some of that stuff,
I doubt that'll happen with that art style.
Even if it's just a couple of color changes here and there, I would like to see something.
Here's what they should do. They should have at least the pins be visible on the character and the pins change.
Yes, I'll take that, right? Allow me to drip. Allow it. You can see the materia in the weapons in FF7.
I also want to point out, I think the World Ends With You anime has come out.
That's what I mentioned earlier. That's what I said.
Sorry, I was dealing with dumbass over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to thank friend of the podcast, Buttons, for correctly pointing out my opinion, which is with the anime coming out and the new game coming out, now no one ever has to play the original ever again. It has been fully invalidated. We can all just move on and pretend it didn't happen and be safe.
What the viewers didn't hear was the thud of Pat's boner hitting the bottom of his keyboard as he managed to finally get it out.
You know what the wildest thing about that discussion was? Is that I included like Kid Icarus. I'm like, at least World Ends With You didn't actually damage you like Kid Icarus did. And I had people saying, what are you talking about? I played so much Kid Icarus and my wrists never hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like I literally like that is indefensible. That game stabs you.
Moving on. The game looks great.
Sure does. What platform is that dropping?
It is dropping on PS4 and Switch this summer, July 27th.
Oh, what? PS4? But that has a regular controller. How is it going to manage? Oh no! We'll have to use the touchpad on the PS4 controller to be like, oh, do 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 do.
I'm looking forward to this great video game, to the sequel of a thing that was really cool looking. I'm very excited. I can't wait. All right? All right. All right.
I am
just shut up! Excited. Just shut up! Just shut it! Just shut! For once! Just shut up! Just leave it. Just leave it. Let's just go. All right? We're moving on.
I'm so excited to get into the new game and then pretend I was a fan all along. Because I own a copy of World Ends With You on the DS.
I own 2 copies.
Oh, yes, me too. I own the mobile version too.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like a World Ends With You super fan.
So, you know what else looks really cool?
What's that?
Oro. And Akira. And Rose. who have been shown off in Street Fighter V.
I didn't. I saw the others. I didn't see Oro.
Yeah. They showed off all
Apparently
three.
his dick isn't visible anymore.
His dick is not visible. So here's what they're doing. Rose is doing... we talked about her a little bit before, but yeah, she's got her whole tarot card system. And you actually have a full deck of tarot Street Fighter characters that look really cool, actually. Elena looks like a fucking snack. Incredible. Super cool. But the love you're seeing go into Akira with rival schools, finally giving someone a really like, let's change the game up system by letting her do launchers into aerial raves. Like, finally have some fun with it, guys. You know, like, I love that they put that in there. I'm sure it's gonna be limited to like a V-trigger activation or something, but boy, that's cool. Also, she calls in her Daigo, her brother.
I marked out, dude. I'm so happy, Daigo.
Okay, but fucking I full blame on fucking Mark Swint for ruining this for me. He pointed out, like an asshole, that son of a bitch, that Sakura is in out of school and has a job. Why is Daigo still wearing his uniform?
Because he flunked out, dude.
But then he wouldn't be wearing it. He'd just be wearing some other adult clothes.
Nah, he's in remedial classes.
And it's like, there is a goddamn, like, inconsistency. He shouldn't still be in his uniform. He was a senior.
It's his fighting clothes. There you go.
He was Sakura's senior in the time frame that she was a student, and now he's jumping in as exactly the same age while she has clearly graduated. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Oh, you can't unsee it.
He's just a dumb man.
You can't unsee it. But yeah, Akira is wearing her biker outfit, and she is doing her rekkas and her strings and her launches and stuff. And it's all really cool. I've always liked Akira as a design and as a character, but I was never super fond of her moveset in particular.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I like a lot of the cast's moveset out around her. Kyosuke's fucking awesome, and you know, Batsu and Natsu. And,
yeah, Batsu was always my least favorite of all the crossover characters, honestly.
I mean, he's a Shoto, but he's got some stuff, especially when you go with Burning Batsu with the air grab and shit. Shoma and Natsu and you know, some great fucking characters. But yeah, Akira's moveset was always one that I was like, nah, not super hot on. But just as a character and as a fucking representative of the world of rival schools and Project Justice, like, it's a fucking cool addition. So her cameo looks really good. And Oro, they showed off his moves and what they're doing. So
he's holding the turtle.
He's exactly still fighting with one hand, but instead of tying his arm behind in the strap, he's holding his turtle and switching sides and switching the turtle hand. In some cases,
which is great, because like the translation of his original sprite would have looked like fucking horrible because his arm isn't there.
Well, so what the old sprite used to do was you would see his arms tuck into the sack, right? But in this case, it's like, yeah, the sack is on one side. So unless he put his head over or underneath it, it would make sense. But
it would be terrible. Like, you can't do the claw thing with a character that puts their whole arm behind their back.
Right. What he does do is toss the turtle up in the air in some cases and then catch it with the opposite hand or whatever after the move. So a little bit of that flair you see on some of the other Season 3 characters, where after moves there's a little extra taunt put in, which I love. I love that because it's an optional taunt that is adding flavor to the fight if you stand still, but you don't have to do it or let it play out, you know?
What happens when you cut the turtle animation in half? Does the turtle just appear in his hand?
I would assume so. I would assume the turtle just never lands and then he just teleports back into his hand. Yes.
Oh, well.
You know. So that's a really cool detail. What else did they have? All of his moves are the same as to be expected in terms of like he's got all the faithful things. He's got the double jump. And then they added a new move, right? They added a little immediate sort of double hitting kick that is like an axe kick. And it seems like I was kind of looking at it. I'm like, I wonder why they kind of added this little combo filler move here. And I think it's because if you look at like the rest of his move set, he didn't really have any particular combo filler. He didn't have anything that was just a point blank close tool that wasn't like immediately a knockdown of some kind. So he has the uppercut, he's got the slam, he's got the projectile. But like this is just a simple up close, probably do some sort of like confirm into it button, and you get a second hit off of the EX version. So seems like it just serves that utility. And then they took his, what did they do? They took his
How
rocks.
many of his supers does he get to keep?
All three, but in different forms. So the rock super, where he summons a bunch of rocks and then they float around him, is what he used to do in Third Strike. Then they act as like extra hits after each one of his buttons. So that is now a V trigger. And his second,
that makes sense.
yeah, because it's a timer. It's a timer. It makes perfect sense, right? And the other super that had a timer, which was his big grab, is his other V trigger. So V trigger 1, V trigger 2, they're both the timing things where in that grabs case, in the air or on the ground, he does like a big multi-part slam, So anyway, the point is, if you're getting lost at what I'm describing, is that the character Oro from Third Strike has been implemented into Street Fighter V's system, and they did it pretty smart because like in Street Fighter 3, you'd have 3 supers to pick from. But in Street Fighter V, you have one, but you have a couple of other subsystems, and they just found a way to fit it into those instead, And then he can do a super version of his Fireball, where he does like the bounce or like the different arcs or such. You can activate that too as well. So yeah, they managed to they managed to keep all of it. What we haven't seen is the level the crazy I don't remember seeing the crazy extreme versions of like the Izuna drop or the Spirit Bomb though. So
I gotta say, like Akira, Oro, and Rose, and Dan, honestly, it's kind of a shame that all the most interesting characters for a fighting game are the ones that finish it off. Like all the weirdos. Like Akira's got her aerial rave shit,
or the fan favorites that people are asking for over a long period of time. So yeah. We didn't see.
Some of this leads into SF6,
maybe. So yeah, we didn't see his super, but we saw them doing mocap, and like the end of the mocap is the person turning upside down and landing on their head. So that is part of the animation where he does a big fucking Izuna drop to you. So I would assume that that's where it's going to be. It's going to be saved for his super, exactly. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about in regards to this Street Fighter character and his moveset, it's a Street
That's
Fighter
fine.
3
Well,
thing.
you're talking about an unpopular high skill character from the least popular Street Fighter game that came out decades ago.
Okay, but something that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what
something that's
Oro's
fun
cool
to speculate about is how an existing character gets translated into the system of a new game. When Urien was coming out, we're like, oh, how are they going to do the Aegis Reflector? How are they going to do, what is he going to get for these other like system skills and things like that? So yeah, that stuff's cool, and so far they did a pretty good job of it. So yeah, all 3 of those new season characters looking pretty good so far. Dan as well, solid. It seems like this season is going to be good.
It's crazy how all these characters that came out after Ono left are really cool.
Well, I mean, even before that, season 3 had some good shit going on. There's you can see a lot of love put into some of the late season characters. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Crazy.
So more info on that. Random but little thing here to talk about Devil May Cry Pinnacle of Combat again, the mobile game that will be coming out at some point in the near future. Apparently, where there's some founded rumors about new features they're going to have. Nero coming to the game is a almost confirmed rumor, I believe, and there's some news on the official website making reference to the fact that they're working on controller support and PvP mode.
What?
Devil May Cry mobile Pinnacle of Combat is adding controller support and PvP mode.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I wonder if they took interest from
So I immediately
Strive.
I immediately went, yo, Hitch, you hear about this? And Hitch was like looking at it and like, yeah, he seems like he checked in with some folks that are in the know, and this seems like it's probably happening. Now there's some gameplay
That's
videos.
Hitch from the hit movie Hitch?
No, that's Hitch as in Hitchhiker, the one responsible for modding Devil May Cry 5. If you take a look, there's some videos. In fact, let me give a shout out properly to Revolt Hell on Twitter, RK, who has been exploring the game and doing some like test combos and messing with the system, and was able to figure out that using the online beta, you can kind of he was able to find like jump canceling, and he put up a couple of combos that look like fucking DMC combos. Like it's looking all right, you know? So this game's gonna seemingly have one of the most nonsense, stupid, hilarious stories ever, with pure English cutscenes, including one of some weird thing where there's like a little like girl, and then her parents are arguing, and I think the mom is a demon or something. I don't know what was happening. It was wild.
Can we get the real voice cast in to do the English?
No, it's a phone game. Fuck off.
I want Johnny Young Bosch and Ruben Langdon to be doing the English.
Too bad. We're hiring people off of Cameo.
Nice.
But yeah, like the cutscenes look like hot garbage nonsense. But
fuck yeah.
But the combat seems like it's actually gonna be something that is like feasible. You can do some shit with it. So PvP might be official in DMC soon. I believe this is confirmed for Android. Yeah.
I have an idea. We should cover this. We should play this Chinese DMC game.
I'm awaiting more details to see what's going to shake out here.
Are we both going to enter into PvP and we're going to select our character and we're both going to be sitting there with Nero? Is that what's going to happen?
I mean, it depends on which version of Nero we're getting here.
Oh, it'll probably be the 4 version. Let's be honest.
Yeah. They're going with DMC 3 Dante.
Oh, well, that's a good Dante.
You know, heavily. So, so that's Pinnacle of Combat.
You know, it'd be a good Nero. Like if it's DMC 3 Dante and it's lady, it'd be like 3-year-old Nero. Like he's a literal baby.
Baby Nero.
Yeah, baby Nero.
See, there's zero chance they're gonna make it 5 Nero because the ARM system is a fucking like that's the complexity of the game in and of itself. There's zero. No one's gonna do that amount of work, right?
Stop eating that.
Nero ends up being one of those characters like Kirby or Shang Tsung, where if you want them to show up in your game, you have to do a whole bunch of system changing shit to make sure that they work, you know, for him to have all those arms. So, yeah, no, not likely.
All right, I'll contact Hitchhiker and ask him when Nero comes out if he could model swap it for like a toddler Nero, and just not adjust any of the animations at all. Just stretch it out.
The
Lanky
amount
toddler Nero.
So toddler Nero, or even like slightly above that, like maybe like 7 or 8 year old Nero, is now a thing that we all like, or at least a lot of we've seen so many times because of those Virgil Daddy comics.
And the Dangerous Bride comics, yeah.
And it's almost like how Jolene as a kid is also canon in my brain, because there's just so many comics about, you know, them growing up while the other adventures were happening that they just fit them in.
There's a weird canon alive Kakyoin in my head from that type of comic.
Old man Caesar.
Just alive. In general,
old man Caesar is also one that like that'll get you. Yeah. And lastly, we should talk about Bleep software.
We should talk about Bleep software.
I don't know what Bleep is. I don't know anything about it, but I saw a tweet, and the tweet said, "This is hands down the funniest images I've seen in a while. Intel is making automated Bleep software, and I'm howling at the back end." And there's a picture of a man in a YouTube video standing, explaining that with Bleep, we're enabling a tool to empower gamers, which is the perfect subtitle. And as you can look at the Bleep background software, there appears to be a number of slider settings for misogyny, name-calling, racism and xenophobia, sexually explicit language, and swearing. But most importantly, the N-word is a binary toggle. There is no slider for the N-word. It is merely on or off.
If it was a slider, like, what would it be? It would be off and then A and then ER, yes?
But then there would be one after R, and it would be like just question R? Mark.
What, it's adding the N-word to your normal dialogue?
Like, what is further beyond the hard R? There's something there. They know what it is. We don't know. We don't know what it is, but something beyond a hard R has been discovered by Intel, and their tech is the only thing that can save us from it. Yeah.
So I'll answer what your supposition earlier. What Bleep is, do you remember a long time ago, Microsoft, there was a report that came out that said they were looking into figuring out a software solution for Xbox Live's toxicity problem?
Yes, I do remember that story.
Basically, Intel wants to hop on that thing, and they want to have you have a back-end solution so that you can integrate into your voice chat or your server or whatever, that it will monitor all speech, and then it will, in the time it takes for that speech to transmit, you know, the 1 second Discord delay or what have you, it will go, "Hey, that's a racism," and bleep it. And while technologically impressive, it's also dystopianly nightmarish. But I also think it's ideologically misguided. While it's sweet as an idea, we're currently on Twitch. And Twitch decided to take certain words and say, those are not nice words to say. Don't say them. Well, what happened? People just invented new shit.
Pat, I for the last X number of years, have banned the word boat from the chat. It's banned. You can't say it.
I could say it. Boat!
Yeah, they can't. What we did witness is some incredibly creative, incredibly intuitive folks coming up with all kinds of ways to redirect or find a way to skirt it somehow. When you put up a challenge, do you think gamers will not find a way to overcome and speedrun any percent the wall of bleeped words?
Gamers will empower themselves.
It's kind of insane to think that they won't, right? Furthermore, if this is up there and this is kind of like a way of just, I guess, like stopping any words from coming through that will like fucking kick you off or get you banned or whatever, then all that's really going to result in is people just actually letting it fly as opposed to being aware not to do so. And yes, in some cases, dare I say, playing a game of censor chicken, you know? What's also strange, and I'm curious to know about, by the boat thing is a joke from years ago. If you don't know why, too bad. You had to be there. The fucking weird thing is, when you look at the sliders here, right, for, you know, xenophobia and misogyny and such, does that imply that, like, more than just words, but like sentences or entire thoughts will be detected?
No, it's gonna be terms.
Okay.
So I have a technical issue that I would like to bring to the people's attention. Well, have you ever heard of a game called Lifeline?
No. Maybe.
Lifeline is a PS2 Konami game. It's a survival horror game in which you play as a camera operator on a space cruise ship that gets attacked by aliens.
Okay.
And it's played entirely or nearly entirely with a microphone.
Okay.
PS2 microphone.
Rings a bell. Yeah, okay.
And you give the character commands like attack, shoot, search, move, etc. And that you play it entirely through voice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Lifeline is notable because it was a piece of shit. And it was very confusing that reviews in Japan were really good and reviews in English or other languages were really bad.
Oh, boy.
And there's a voice calibration section in the beginning where it asks you to say the word lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say lifeline,
Mm-hmm.
it says, fuck off, it's wrong. If you say rife-rine, it gives you an okay perfect. So, in order to play the game accurately, you have to really put it on, right? And here's where I'm going with. Voice recognition technology is remarkably terrible at accents. It's one of the worst things. There's cameras that can't see you if you're black. There's voice technology that doesn't work if English isn't your first language or if you're from India or what have you, right? So this is going to create two classes of people, two classes of gamers. Gamers that will be correctly bleeped out and those whose accent will cause the system to fail and be able to say whatever they want without the system picking up on them.
Maybe. You know, voice recognition has gotten a lot better. I can say that My mom has stopped texting with words by finger type and now text with words by speech. And it converts her messages to text and she sends them over. We've seen a lot of things now people are doing. It's gotten way better from the days of Seaman. So I wouldn't be surprised if this tech was actually realistically effective in most people's use cases, you know? It's going to lead to unintended hilarity, and also the euphemism treadmill will keep turning and people will start to just say other things that they can find a way around it.
How old is the phrase "everybody hates Mondays"? Isn't that decades old?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty old. Yes. Older than
stop that one.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Like, you can't police tone. You know?
If people want to say something, they're going to figure out a way to get
They will find a way. Yes. Language is surprisingly
oh my god.
Adaptable to all kinds of fucking intention. Yeah, right?
Oh my god. I was just patting him on the back and he decided to just like
you pushed one out, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, right on me.
That's your fault. You made it happen.
That's my fault.
You created it.
I did not create it.
Good luck to Bleep.
Good luck with that shit.
I absolutely support and look forward to your career with great interest. I would love to see how effective this becomes, and as a result, how people then just start finding ways to say exactly what they want to in other ways, you know?
You know what I'm excited for? Them getting up on a stage and going, "Look, we're going to read this out loud and watch us bleeps it." And for it to just massively fail.
The classic stage demo fail, except this time with all the bad. Yeah.
So you know what would be much more interesting than a bleep?
And you know, folks, you know, we can just read down this list, but that's not really going to show you the power of our technology because it needs to come from the heart. So we've invited up here we've got some employees that work here of various races, creeds, colors, nationalities, genders, and orientations. All of them, if you could come on stage, and we'll have Greg over here say what he's going to say on this list at you with the fullest effect and volume, and we'll turn the filter on.
And then you put Greg in like those fucking sound booths that you lock the StarCraft players in.
All right, let her rip.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Just a line of employees just standing on the stage. You know, yeah. Yeah, the filter works best when it comes from the heart.
If the filter doesn't trigger, it means they didn't mean it.
It's just playing around.
It's just jokes, man.
Look, jokes. You can tell. Yeah, you know.
In my mind, I'm actually thinking of what might be like the legit, actual bug that they may encounter, which would be disastrous, which is it being too sensitive and triggering on harmless words, turning normal sentences into hard racism.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, hey, what's going on, guys? Suddenly becomes what's going on, bleep.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck, Jimmy? What are you doing? We only have the N-word cancel on. We all know what you said.
But I didn't say that. No, I swear to God, I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all already know that like a tactical beep makes things funnier, even if it's just clean.
Oh, you insert the worst thing that you can think of in your head. You just put it right in there.
So now when it goes off accidentally. Good. This is good. This is good tech, man. This is good science.
This will not work. This is like doomed to fail.
I love this. I love everything about this. I want this future. I'm here for it. I can't wait to see it and its ramifications. The content will be glorious. Yeah. Yeah, I can fucking live in this world, man.
I'm excited to learn a whole new language. Just, what does that mean? Why are the kids in the chat calling me that? Which one? What is that? That's what that one is?
Well, think about how many.
But how does it?
But that already happens, right? In the lifetime from like being on Twitch for not even just the internet, like a bunch of words just start popping up sometimes, and you go like malding. What is that?
What is why am I malding?
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, it's just this is the thing now. It's the wave.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah.
Is this Pog Champs?
No, but it is Poggers.
Okay.
Stop soy facing.
I'm a little unclear on what that one actually is.
It's the face with the mouth open wide and the eyes open wide in a very exaggerated expression of shock or awe, usually in reaction to perhaps a Star Wars trailer or some sort of MCU content. That's what it's meant. That's what it's meant to denigrate.
Face. Oh man, that reminds me of one of my all-time favorite "Am I the Assholes," which is one of my favorite Reddits. I love that thing.
Oh yeah,
and it was good. It was a wife going over their wedding photos, and she discovered that the groom had made a soy face somehow in every photo that was taken. Not just photos that were taken of him. Like he had spent the wedding reception following around the photographer to photobomb every single photo with soy face. And the wedding photos were like ruined as a result. And she was talking to him. He's like, yeah, it's funny, huh? And she's like, this is screwing up my marriage. Like, the wedding is fucked up because of your fucking soy face. He's like, nah, babe, it's funny.
That's pretty funny.
One, it is really funny, but at the second time, like, don't mess with a girl about her wedding.
Yeah. I think
that's a bad idea.
Cuz you know that specific emoji of like the wide open mouth with the eyes looking back up left, I think.
Mhm.
It's like specifically going for that, you know? So I think that's what that Wojak is supposed to be. Let's take some letters.
Hey, if you want to send a letter in, send it to well, don't send a letter, that's stupid. Send an email down to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
We got one coming in from Footsini says, Der Whoop and Pap, have you ever thought about the fact that if Worf and Hitler kissed, their mustaches would never touch? Something to think about.
I've not thought about that. It's not outside the realm of possibility for that to happen in Star Trek. It could happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Worf would not kiss Hitler because Hitler has no honor.
Yep. You could go further with that, though. I mean, if, I don't know, let's say, like DSP kissed Raul from Zelda, the beards would never touch, because you'd have one with the outside most handlebars and one with the goatee on the inside.
This is a weird poll, but it's appropriate considering the weird poll this email started with.
Yeah, I'm just transferring the facial hair to the bottom side.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I hate this email.
Dear Wooly Caillou, Yaku, and Patranodon. Been playing Monster Hunter Rise, and I'm having a lot of fun, says Kevin, while still feeling the sting of having so many Monhun staples changed and removed. I understand that these quality of life changes, I understand where they come from, but so many happening over the years. Rise has a very different feel from a lot of the ones I played for so long.
Oh, yeah, it's very different.
I've also felt this in Animal Crossing. Is it just me being an old man yelling at the kids about the old days, or is there a legitimate complaint of games simply adding so many features that it feels like it's changed something different from what you signed up for? Is there ever too much quality of life?
Yeah, I can understand that. There was a really good, interesting thread on the Monster Hunter subreddit recently where it described that all the new moves they've given out to Longsword has meant that the defensive weapon is now Longsword instead of Lance, which is baffling because Lance is like a fucking shield. The game's way more aggressive now. It's way more aggressive now than it used to be. I personally see it as an improvement, but I can understand people liking the old thing. It's similar to people who don't like Bloodborne speed. And Bloodborne speed kind of bled into Dark Souls 3, and then that went to Sekiro. And I mean, you and Reggie recently went through Demon Souls. That game is slow as fucking piss. And some people like the fact that it was slow as piss.
So as a fan of a genre of games that reinvents itself with every new entry into a given series, I can tell you that fighting games in particular will often make these drastic changes as well. Strive being the most recent example of drastically changing a bunch of shit that people have, been doing for the last long while in Guilty Gear, but Rev 2 and Exerd also changed a bunch of the shit that people were doing in Plus R, and so on and so forth. Alpha 3 is a completely different fucking category from what you get when you play Third Strike, So
I feel like Alpha 3 is like its own genre, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like fucking air blocking and air throws, not air throws, but air techs into like crazy shit. It's very normal to see that happen. I do think there can be times when it goes too far, but in most cases, like you just said, I understand why it's happening, and I understand that like any given franchise that's going to last long is going to change with the times to continuously stay relevant. I get that part,
It's interesting because in Monster Hunter, what you saw was you would get new moves, and then the monsters would jump forward in tech themselves, right? So, like, I'll use an example that you're more familiar with. Well, the scariest thing ever in, like, Monster Hunter 1 was Rathian's backflip. Like, that was, like, legitimately the scariest thing anything could throw at you, right? And then, when Pink Rathian got created, Pink Rathian has a backflip that Rathian spins horizontally during. So, like, they just become a gigantic ball
sphere
hitbox.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got moves, and then monsters get tougher. You got moves, and monsters get tougher. I think the change to, like, Rise's feel is less about quality of life and more about the arms race between the two. And I think Rise is interesting because the arms race for the weapons actually has massively overshot the monsters in Rise. Like the monsters they got some new stuff, but like the amount of stuff that you got is like absurd compared. Like some monsters can't keep up with the player in Rise. Like you just have too much new shit.
I do think, though, that like quality of life can also be designed in such a way where it exists, but it's optional and or doesn't affect anyone who's playing a particular style or aiming to have a particular experience. I think those are the best kinds of quality of life where, you have the freedom to get as granular as you want with something, or you can just ignore it or automate it or do whatever the quality of life update would be. You know, when a bunch of Mario games added the die enough times and you'll get a special golden mushroom or whatever thing, you know, it was kind of like, I think that came about with New Super Mario Brothers. That might have been one of the first times they introduced that. I'm not sure, but it was clearly just a like, all right, look, this is just here for like, there's no game overs anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Like the game over design is now kind of gone, but effectively, you could theoretically ignore that. I don't know. I feel like Monster Hunter is a particular case because some of the things are meant to be cumbersome. Sharpening is meant to be cumbersome, right?
Yeah, except they made it way less cumbersome by letting you do it
while
without
riding
having
a
to
dog.
sheath your weapon. No, the big one is being able to do it without sheathing your weapon.
Okay.
You used to have to put the weapon away, select the whetstone, and then sharpen it. But then they put the radial menu in, and that does change the balance very significantly.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that it's like if you make a decision where it goes, like now you've like upset the balance in a way, then it's like, as long as you can find a way to like counterbalance that decision as well, and we keep this whole thing going where people have more ability to do things, but there's a bigger challenge as a result, then we're fine. But if you don't counterbalance it, then like, yeah, it ends up, you know, unfortunately hurting the way things were. I think a big discussion going on right now, it's not exactly quality of life, but it's more just like changing the system over time, is like the discussion about the wall in Guilty Gear Strive. Mm-hmm. A lot of you know, competitive players are like not fans of like the wall's implementation, and you know, and some people like absolutely despise it, and some people think it's really cool. I think the idea of it is pretty cool too. I'm a fan of like the change of flavor that it brings to, you know, the genre in this way. But there are some valid criticisms, one of which is like it breaks too easily, and if you let someone down, it shouldn't break again right away, you know?
Yeah, it breaks real easy.
So like there should be a decision where if you decide to not break it and you let them down, then they actually do have to kind of hold the corner, and then you can do stuff there before it happens again. Or make it something where the reward is incredibly high, but like you only get to do a wall break once or something like that, you know? So treat it like an Isen in Samurai Showdown, where it's like your big super slash that just melts your life bar or something.
That reminds me, did you see the Strive Guilty Gear devs talking about the online implementation during the beta and like the delay and whatnot?
Oh, the latest backyard? Yeah.
So to those of you who don't know, they clarified exactly how much delay was on everybody's inputs during the beta, and it was a universal delay of 1 frame, mm-hmm. which is fucking crazy how good that is. Like, holy shit.
So for comparison, most other games with rollback will recommend everyone setting their thing to 1 frame by default, and then only modify if you see a wild ping coming your way. But generally staying on 1 frame is recommended in most cases. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like, although that isn't necessarily counting for like a in-game offline delay as well, which will sometimes be implemented into the game without even considering network, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah.
It's like, wow.
But that's what rollback is. Like, that sound, as magical as that sounds, that's not that out of the ordinary. That's what you get when you're playing rollback in other games too. It's 1 frame, you know?
My experience has been 2 frames.
If you're hitting up with someone whose ping is flying into the hundreds, then you're going to want to, you know, possibly compensate. But I feel like, at least for me with KI, with plus R, with KOF, it's been generally floating around 1.
I don't think that's true. But okay.
I know that in plus R, I'm constantly looking at the number and setting it. And in Skullgirls, I was also told in general it's a good idea to set it to 1 and keep it there.
Maximilian Dude, some guy named Max, says that Killer Instinct is 3.
Okay, then that's not true for KI. Then yeah, no, Skullgirls. Skullgirls is where it was set to 1, and plus R is where it was set to 1. In KI's case, then yeah, that wasn't it. I misremembered. I'm sorry.
Thanks, some guy.
No problem. But yeah, I feel that number is like I feel like that number going forward is like, if we can see like everything coming in and being implemented, if we can see every game implemented in such a way where the offline delay is like, I believe there's an article about how like designing your game in such a way where if you have the offline game itself compensate by having moves designed in such a way where there is a natural input delay, you can do better things with rollback. You know, by having the game, and I think one of the examples is like Jago's overhead, by having it so that you charge up, like the animation actually like has a big wind up and then a very fast activation at the after all the startup. You can not feel hiccups as bad by having the move designed in that particular way, while also having the offline delay set to a certain number. Yeah. So anyway, I think the wall discussion there in general would be one where it's cool to see that feature implemented. It would be better if the wall regained its durability after you let them down, so that you get a bit of an option there. And then in the end, it ends up being something where new players play and then they see the wall, they break it, it's fun, they have a cool thing. It ends up just being that fun, you know, new thing that they want new players to do. But if you're an old player and you're kind of trying to be a little bit more, you know, crafty about it, and you want to set something up, you might decide, no, let's not break the wall here, you know. And then that's a way of like changing things about the genre, but then making it so that like old players have something that they can, you know, enjoy there in the new system.
And if you want the ultimate, back to the actual question, if you want the absolute ultimate quality of life is fucking the game up, go check out videos of Super Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS, where you can do specials by hitting the touchscreen.
Walking forward flash kicks with Guile. Yeah, similar.
Walking forward super with Guile.
Yeah. There's another case of that. I want to say Capcom versus SNK 2 Easy Operation for the GameCube.
Oh, with the analog stick? Oh my
you
God.
can tilt the C stick in any direction to get a move out as a shortcut, nullifying the input, thus making it completely pointless because characters are built with inputs in mind.
Dude, that you want to see like, why do inputs need to exist? Go play Easy Operation. That game is crazy.
Oh my God. Like inputs, you can design a game that doesn't have them, but then you have to build for that.
Design it.
Yes. You know, it has to be designed around the idea that there is no 1 second or 2 second charge before you let a sonic boom out, or the fact that you can't move forward while charging a perfect flash kick, you know, like a great anti-air that does a million things. Like there's a whole way to make the game around that, but when you come back in and just fucking put it on a stick, like it was insane. It was insane. EO was some wild shit. I'm a little bit sad that the EO sticker never quite appeared on game boxes the same way Dante from the Devil May Cry series did, or now featuring funky mode. I wanted to see the EO sticker, you know, put on a lot of things.
Well, do it yourself, man.
Yeah, well, you know.
Maybe it'll catch on.
We got
well, that's gonna be. I'm gonna look at my watch that's fake, and say that I'm gonna have to peace out myself.
No problem.
Because I got to take the dog out again. He's crying upstairs. And I don't think
we'll wrap it up.
It'd make much sense to come back for 5 extra minutes.
That's no problem. We'll wrap it up there, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.